You are born to win, but to be winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. So you attended this meeting, it means you have already planned. Our work to make you prepared for next contest. Because we have experienced and champion trainers for today education session. So let's begin the journey of learning. Let me share my screen here. Okay, we begin with Toastmaster International Mission. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. District mission is we build new club and support all clubs in achieving excellence. And club mission is we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I am sure you all aware about this screen, but let me remind you some important things. If you see here that left bottom, there is mic icon and camera. You can unmute and you can mute yourself, unmute yourself, and you can switch on your camera whenever you are requested so. And you can show the expression. And if you see the top right side, there is a speaker view. You can change the view, grid view and speaker view. Now, there is some ground rule. If you want to take full advantage of this session, there is some ground rules. You have to be mindful. Please keep your mobile on silent mode because it will not disturb you. And then also, please avoid to speak on these taboo topic, politics, religion, sex. And if you are not speakers, are not trainer, and please keep your mic muted and camera off. And show the reaction if you like something. Now it is time to introduce the person. He is one of the youngest area director of Area 106. He joined Toastmaster 2 years ago. She served VP PR, Sergeant Arm, Assistant Area Director, PQD, and also she served VP PR in Division L. She is past president of Universal Toastmaster Club and currently she is serving Area Director of Area 56. Please welcome most passionate and dedicated Toastmaster Midat Siddiqui, Area Director, Area 56.
Thank you so much, DTM Muhammad Rahim. That was really heart-touching. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure that all of you are fully charged after taking your lunch break. So show me some energies. I get to know that, yes, you actually had a good meal, good Friday meal. Okay, I believe some of you didn't eat well. Okay, yeah, that's more like it. Thank you so much for joining us and making time for this particular session. They say that learning never exhausts the mind, and that's the reason we have come together. We want you to continue with the process of learning. And the reason we are gathered here is that we have two amazing people, DTM Sami and DTM Ankit, who are going to share their wisdom and experience and knowledge with us. So I would request you that before we even dive into the session, I would request you that it would be very intelligent if you can grab a writing pad, pencil or pen, or maybe a notepad in your mobile, so that you can take down notes, because this is a session which should not be missed. And do you know what is the most beautiful thing about learning? Any idea?
Something new. I mean, you have a new experience.
Okay, anyone else? Toastmaster Jatinder, I see you have unmuted yourself. Would you like to share your thoughts?
So most beautiful thing about learning.
Yes.
I think it empowers you when you learn new thing. Your ability to do more increases. So,
All right, all right. The thing that I had in mind is that the most beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take that away from you. So no matter where you go, how you are, no one can steal that from you. So this is the beauty. Now, without any further ado, I would just like to thank DTM Sami for making time and joining us to share his wisdom with us, and DTM Ankit, who is present here, and the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us. And my timer will be DTM Rahim to assist me. Thank you so much for that. Yes, Toastmaster Sami, I know that very well. But in our eyes, you already are. So just please accept it. All right, then. So now it's time for me to add some more energy, put some more fuel to this meeting. So I'm going to introduce our MC of the day. Well, this particular person has been born and brought up in the UAE. By profession, she is an IT engineer who is into Microsoft, who has worked with Microsoft, Cisco, IBM, and now she is with another big company. She has already experienced and started a startup, which that's the name of the company. And she has been a Toastmasters for the last 3 years. She has served in District 105, in Territory Council 122. She is also a certified Pathways mentor. She has been a past area director as well of Area 59 in District 105. Currently, she is serving as the VP Education for Universal Toastmasters Club and area director in Territory Council 122. And most importantly, a proud mom of 3 beautiful kids. A face which you will never get tired of seeing. A person who always or who never fails to charm me with her smile. So please put your hands together for none other than Toastmaster, soon to be DTM, Iram Rizvi, as our MC.
Thank you. There are many Toastmasters in the Toastmasters fraternity whom we want and love to call DTMs. And that's because that stands for Dynamic Toastmasters. So we are a little bit far from being the distinguished, but we are still dynamic, and Sami is one of them. He's already DDDTM. So good to see all of you here. Thank you so much for joining in on a very busy Friday. We already have 2 major events, but this education session is being held for the people who are interested to have their speeches made for the upcoming contest. And even if not, this session is going to help you out to prepare, get some tips and tricks, and know how to form a conversation or a presentation in itself. For this, I just remembered something. There was this stone cutter who used to break these huge rocks, so he would spend many hours in a day, break huge rocks using a lot of hard work, getting hurt, getting a lot of pain, and making them into a little medium-sized rocks, and then going and selling it to one of the buyers in his village. One day, he saw that the same person was at another shop in another bazaar, and he was selling small sculptures. And he was surprised that where did he get it from? They look so precious and beautiful. And he asked him, where can I dig these from? So he said, I didn't dig these from anywhere. They are from the same rocks that you gave me. I just sit every day for 2-3 hours and I carve them into a nice design and I sell them. And he was surprised to see that he was selling them for 10 times more price for what the stone rock cutter was getting for. So he felt sad and he said, that's not fair. I spend 9 to 10 hours every day. I break my bones literally. I sweat a lot. I'm very tired by the time I go home. I work hard. Then why am I getting 10 times less than you? So he said, I work on your hard work smartly. This is why I get more. Today, this is what we are going to see. We all work hard. We all work hard towards our speeches, our presentations, our scripts. But there is something different that a winner does. That is something different that a person whose speech stands out has. And that is what we are going to learn today in the next 1.5 hours from our dignitaries. So here I'm going to invite you, our very first trainer for the day. And he is the DTM. He's someone very well known around here, done multiple of XCOM roles and leadership roles. And he's going to cover the training session for the evaluation speech. Sorry, I took a pause there. So, all right. So please get your hands together to get a first trainer on board, DTM Ankit Mehra.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Idam, for the wonderful introduction. And I loved your story. I was like glued. What's going to happen next? Because it's always interesting to learn something new. And I learned two things. One, work smartly on somebody's hard work. That's one. And then before that, what was said by Middat, that if you learn something, nobody else can take it from you. That was very nice. So a brilliant start to my afternoon, and I welcome all of you here um, to a wonderful session. I'm happy we're having this session, and we start off with the evaluation. So, firstly, welcome everybody. We have about 11 people here. So, what I'll do basically for evaluation is I'll try to break it up into two parts. One is a general evaluation, what we have in the meetings, and second part would be more specific on the contest side, because your base has to be strong to become a champion evaluator, right? So I don't want to jump straight away to the contest, because I'm sure most of us would like to know how to become good evaluators from 0 upwards to 10 on 10, right? So I'll just share my screen, and we can have a quick Q&A after the session is done. So I have a few slides, and after that we can have some time for Q&A, right? So 1 second. Mm. Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my
Yes, we
screen?
can.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay,
we can.
so I would like to thank DTM Vinod Raman before this, because I've taken this slide from him. I'll just put my name as the presenter. Okay. So preparation. How do we prepare for an evaluation? For me, evaluation is the heart of a Toastmasters meeting, right? I've been a Toastmaster for last 8, 10 years now, and whatever I have become is because of the feedback that I've got from the mentors and evaluators. And it's very important as an evaluator first to talk to your target speaker, or at least know the person. What is his speech about? That's the basic in any meeting. So don't be on an angry phone call with him or her. It could be like a polite conversation just before the meeting, or a quick message just before the meeting starts, so that you both are on the same page as to what is the topic, what is the level of the speaker, if it's his or her L1, P1, or it's a more advanced level speech. I think that's very important. Why, we'll come to know later. But the basic idea is that as an evaluator, you should know where the speaker stands, at what level is he or her giving his speech. Very important. I think this is a basic which I've seen people not giving importance to, is reading the speech objectives. As an evaluator, you must read this. I mean, this is the basics. You cannot evaluate somebody if you don't know what to evaluate on, right? If you have to read this, this is a compulsion for all evaluators. Please don't miss this. The basic reason is that the audience knows the objectives, and if you as an evaluator don't know, it will look very, very unprofessional and not nice on the speaker if you give a feedback on a totally different objective, right? Same point here, which means that you have to evaluate against the speech objectives. So don't give an evaluation of a professional speaker to an icebreaker speaker, or don't be really calm and composed to a professional speaker like maybe DTM Sami. Sami, you can't give him feedback for an icebreaker speaker, right? And of course, try and use an template. I can give more details on this. What I do personally is I mean, which is the fastest way for you? For me, I just divide the page into two: the good points and the places to improve. I just jot down the main points as I keep listening to the speakers, right? So just a note here, what I used to do earlier was like go on writing. I used to hear the speaker and go on making notes, and in the contest as well when I was very new. And at the end, I was confused, like, what did I write? So much to read, and I'm lost in my own jumble of words. So, what I will suggest personally is just divide the page into 2 or 4 parts and mention the places to improve, what you like about the speech, and why. So, you have to kind of uh, be a bit smart on this and use this template effectively. This will help you to organize and prioritize your points. So if you have mentioned your main points while listening to the speaker, when it's your turn to give the feedback, it will help you to organize your speech. Because just as a basic rule, evaluation is also a speech. Okay, it's a 2 to 3 minute speech that you are giving to the audience and the speaker in particular. So it has to be well structured, well organized, and well presented, right? It should not be haphazard. So just always remember, as you prepare for an international speech, you'll have an opening, a body, and a conclusion. Similarly, you will have that same mindset for an evaluation speech. Start and finish positively. Be honest. I've heard evaluations which go overboard. Oh, you are the best speaker I've ever heard so far, and I've never heard a better speaker than you. I mean, don't go to that level because it just sounds very pompous and fake. So just don't go overboard and don't whitewash as well. There was no flaw in the speech. I could not find any place to improve. I mean, these feedbacks don't help the speaker, because every speaker has come here for a reason, and that is to improve, right? And if you really make the speaker feel he's on cloud 9, not 9 but 90, he'll be like, oh, I'm the best, which is not the case. So be honest. Don't be rude or blunt, but be honest. Two important parts of any evaluation speech is always summarize your speech. I'll give you an example why. So there are 2 parts to it. First, of course, is the contest part. I'll come to that later on. But generally, if you don't summarize, what happens is that as a listener, as a speaker, I forget what was told to me 2 minutes back. Because there's so much happening in those 2.5 minutes. And I realized this when I was getting my appraisal done in office. So my boss, I now as a Toastmaster, I'm sure all of us, even Iram can agree that we kind of think of Toastmasters while talking to people, right? The ums and ahs they use, the uhs and the unstructured parts they keep on talking. So my boss gave me an appraisal, and after half an hour, I was confused, like whether he liked me or not and my work, because he spoke 2 things good, then 2 things bad, again 1 thing brilliant, again 1 thing was worse of me, which no one else in the office did. And he said, okay, now you can go. And like, okay, what happened? I mean, am I promoted? Am I demoted? I'm out of the office. What happened? He didn't summarize. That was the problem with his entire speech. I mean, it wasn't structured firstly, and then he forgot to summarize. So very important, as an evaluator, you have to summarize whatever you've spoken. And this is important. Why? Because you have to time your evaluation. Many speakers want to summarize, but they see the red card and then they quickly just blabber out. They finish the last 2 points quickly and they, oh, thank you so much, over to the MC of the day. So that's not the way it should be done. Very important to practice timing yourself. Don't be like this child who is finishing the exam in the last minute, so, or last second in speech. So always summarize and practice timing yourself. Very important. Just a quick note on this. What I do is that what mistakes I used to do, I'll say first. So I used to have 4, 5 points what I liked, 4 and 5 points which I think they could improve, and then summarize. So what used to happen is, one, I used to speak too fast, and two, I would have the red card. I would never be able to complete. So my suggestion is, you have an opening, comment, you move on to places to improve, the places you liked, have 2 or 3 points. Then you move on to places to improve, 2 or 3 points max. You can't go beyond three. Well, then you will not be able to summarize. That is very, very important. So you have to keep 30 seconds to summarize your evaluation. Okay. Mm. Quickly, now suggestions on things to avoid, which I find it very fascinating, is evaluators, especially in the contests and even in meetings, they ask the audience to applaud. Please give huge applause for the speaker. The point is that you are wasting your time. The audience has already given an applause when the speaker has spoken, right? Don't waste time in asking applause. There can be people who don't want to give a clap. Then it looks like you will look more funny on the stage, right? If three people clap out of 10. So don't ask the audience to do anything on the stage to clap or not to clap. Don't ask them. Then repeat the content from the speech. This is, I find it very, very common and a common mistake that the evaluator repeats the content from the speech. That today's speaker gave a speech on his journey to Salzburg in Austria. And I love the way he explained how he woke up at 6 in the morning, then he caught the train, he went with his 8 friends, and then they had a wonderful time skiing. And then the way he spoke of the food that he ate, the meat was brilliant and it was nice. You are wasting your time. The audience has heard his speech. So please don't repeat the content from the speech. Give your feedback of what he has spoken, right? Please avoid picking on the grammar and accent. So there is a grammarian in the meeting, okay? Give Leave that part to the grammarian of the day. You don't have to correct the speaker's grammar unless it is really obvious and it is like the one of the basic mistakes you hear each time the speaker makes. You can make a comment, general comment, that I believe that you can have a mentor look into your speech to improve the grammar. That's it. Don't go on picking that you should have used and not the, and it's not required. Okay, as an evaluator you have more things to do. And if you really feel that you have to give a feedback on the grammar and the accent, I'll suggest personally do it offline. There's always a chance to meet the speaker and give a humble suggestion that, hey, I think you should work on the grammar of your speech, and you can definitely send it to a mentor, and that will really help you to improve on your speech, right? That can be done. As I mentioned, evaluating objectives of a higher project. Avoid doing that. If the speaker is giving his or her first or second speech, don't compare the speaker to a seasoned campaigner, right? This is a bit funny, but it's true. We do this consciously, subconsciously while giving the evaluations, especially in physical meetings, that we look only at the target speaker. So I've faced this, and you feel a little guilty, and when the speaker is just looking at you and talking that you did this, you did that. So avoid looking at the target speaker all the time. Keep him at the center of your focus, but always address the larger audience, because, as I said, this is a speech. Okay, it is a speech. It is not only for that one person. It's for everybody else to know what you thought about the speech. Very common mistake which we make while giving feedback is we use the words you should to the speaker, that you should start with this, or you should use the stage effectively, you should do that. Instead use I feel. That's very, very important, because evaluation is your personal opinion, right? As an evaluator, it's your personal opinion about the speaker and the speech. It's not the opinion of the entire audience. So avoid using general comments and be more specific, that I personally feel, I felt you could do this better. This now moves towards the contest side, I would say, if I can use the term. Of course, we need to do this in meetings as well. But if you focus on packaging your evaluation, That will help you to notch your feedback a few levels higher and probably win contests more often. So packaging is very, very important. Start different. That's one. How you start your evaluation is very important. It should be a bit differently done, and you can do it with some of the techniques here, which is I felt, I saw, I heard is some of your own techniques. Don't use general comments. Use the four P's. Very, very important. Make it your personal. You should say that I personally felt good of this, and also try and become part of the speech. So it's kind of linked. So when a speaker, for example, gives a speech on his journey to Europe, you can say that, hey, when I went to Europe, I could feel exactly the same. Don't go on saying what you did in your journey. That's not your speech. But you can always come into the picture, say that when I was in Europe, I can really feel the ecstasy because I felt the same when I was there, right? So you become a part of the speech. So the speaker feels better that, hey, you are on his side and you're there with him, right? Pause. Very, very important to pause, to use pauses while giving evaluation feedback, because you have an opening, you have what you liked about the speech, you have places to improve, and you have a summary. It's very important for the judges, especially also the speaker, to know when you are transitioning from one phase to the other phase. Don't just rush because you have 4 points like I used to do earlier. I had to finish my 4 points and 6 points and to just ramble through. Don't do that. Have your points and be slow, use pauses, and have a powerful conclusion. That's very important because there are points for summarizing the speech. And if you can start differently and have powerful conclusions in your evaluation, you will definitely stand out as an evaluator, because most people don't do it, right? And all this comes as part how you present your speech. If you have your speech well structured, you are definitely in the game to win the contests. This is something very, very critical, because it has almost 30 marks in the evaluation sheet, which I will share. Be specific with your suggestions. We have evaluators who will say, what I felt you could do better is improve your voice modulation, and you could use the stage better. Okay, pause. What about the voice modulation? Where? Which part of my speech I can improve? So if I am the speaker, I want to know where can I improve my voice modulation. So you have to be specific and say that I feel you can really improve the speech if you focus on your voice modulation, specifically when in the part of your speech you spoke to your mother and you were sad. At that point, you could be more soft and have a sad face than smiley face. That is being specific, right? To come up with specific suggestions, examples from the speech, and this can be anything. So even if you say that you could use the stage more effectively, okay, great comment. But where? Which part of my speech? I can't keep walking. So you can be more specific and say that when you spoke about the particular incident in your house, you could have moved on the left side of the stage, and you could have stayed there till the story was over and moved back to the center. And when that incident happened again, you could go back to the left side. So the audience knows that that left part of the stage is that incident place. So things like this, be more specific. And for that, you will need time to explain. And for that, you need to have less points, less quality points. So you have to choose which points you have to give a feedback on, right? And that's where you will get more marks as a judge. Yeah. Difficult, last part, try and infuse humor, but this will come with practice. Don't be sarcastic. Humor should be on a lighter note, and if you can infuse humor, that will definitely make everybody in the audience feel nice. And if you can't infuse humor, smile. That's the best way to do. Make people happy. Have a smile on your face, not a scorn. Like don't be tensed and like, oh, I have to give a feedback, and just smile, because it's a feedback, right? At the end of the day, you have to just help the speaker in whatever way you can. So just try and infuse some humor and at least smile. Okay, so how many of us have seen this sheet before? Most of us have. Can I have a thumbs up or a hand gesture? This is the evaluation contest judges ballot. Yes, so we've got a few hands up. So basically, I want to explain to you how the judges mark us in evaluation. So I've been a judge, I've been a contestant. It's very important and critical to note this, because if you want to win the evaluation contest, you should know how are you being judged. I mean, there's no point in being a great summary speaker and only focusing on that, because hey, you get marked differently. So if you read this carefully, there are 40 points for analytical skills. This means how well have you analyzed the speech? Are you clear? Are you focused on the speech that the speaker has given? Okay. So this is very, very important. It has 40 marks. How you analyze the entire speech, the package. 30 marks is for recommendations. Imagine 30 marks. That's huge. So if you can be very specific, as the subnote says, positive, specific, helpful. If you can have these three qualities while giving your feedback of 2 or 3 recommendations, you can score 30 marks. And most people miss out on this, right? The third part, which has 15 marks, is technique. How were you motivational? Were you sensitive, sympathetic? So I mean, it just depends on the way you've spoken as well. Were you like shouting and aggressive, or were you with the speaker? Were you a part of his journey in the speech? As I mentioned, be a part of his speech. So it's very important that your technique is positive and helpful and more on the sensitive side than being on the aggressive side. And guess what? Summary has 15 points. It has to be concise and encouraging. 15 points. So if somebody does not summarize or really rambles through the summarization, they can lose 15 points. And that's where people win and lose, right? You may have scored good marks in analytical quality, your recommendations were brilliant, you had a good technique, but hey, guess what? I forgot to summarize. So, from the competition perspective, you have lost 15 marks, which could be the factor to decide whether you win or lose. So please, I request you all, always look at the evaluation contest ballot, and it's applicable for all the contests you take part for table topics, international, humorous. You have to know on what basis you will be judged. Okay. So here are some of the tips or techniques which can take your evaluation to the next level. And I really feel that most of, and this helpful, when you have some great speakers, and I find it difficult to, where can I find a place to improve? That's my stress point as an evaluator. So if I hear people like DTM, Hariharan or Balaji or Sami, these guys are brilliant. So my stress is what are the points they will miss, you know and for them as a speaker, they want to know where they can improve. So the higher the speaker is, the better the speaker is, they are more inclined to know where they can improve. They are not here to listen, oh, this guy was brilliant and I loved your speech. They know they are good. They want to know where they can improve. So here are some of the parts where I feel we can use as evaluation feedbacks. Have an emphatic intro and conclusion. So a good part as a speaker is to, as an evaluator, is to judge the speaker on how emphatic, how impactful was the introduction and the conclusion of the speech. Because if you see any speaker, any renowned speaker, they always have a great way to start the speech. If you see any winning speech, you will remember the introduction and the conclusion, right? Tie the conclusion to the introduction. Very important. If you remember Dhananjay's speech, he had a rose, he had a flower in the opening and the conclusion, right? So he had an emphatic opening and he linked the conclusion to the opening as well, right? So these are points which you can use to give feedback to the speaker. Did the speech have a specific message? Very important, because the speaker is giving a 7-minute speech. What was the speech about, right? Second is, if it had a specific message, was there a call to action, or was there a way on how the call to action has to be implemented? So if you see some of the winning speeches, they will have the part that, would you like to be the next champion? The audience says yes. May I have a show of hands? So that's where the speaker did well. And as an evaluator, you keep it in mind that, hey, did my speaker do the same thing or not? If he did, great. Use that as what you liked about the speech. And hey, if he did not do that, use that on the places to improve, because every speech can improve. Again, moving on to my last part, which has have effective pauses. Very important as an evaluator to give a feedback if the speaker had effective pauses, because that's where the impact lies in a powerful speech, on where the speaker pauses. Did it have humor? Again, a difficult skill to master, but if the speaker can develop the skill, you can be a bit motivating on that. Not be conversational. So you can have this part where, in some cases, as I mentioned, the speaker didn't use voice modulation because the speech didn't have a conversation going on between people. It was more on the past tense. It wasn't an active speech. That's where you can give a recommendation that, hey, I think you can really improve the impact of the speech if you had a conversation between the two characters, right? Developing the characters. Use the stage effectively has been mentioned before as well. So again, why and how the stage can be used effectively, something important. So these were the main parts which I feel we can use in our feedback. In addition to what we know, these are some of the things where your feedback will go to the next level, because ultimately every speaker wants to improve, right? They are there on the stage to improve themselves, and we as evaluators have this noble responsibility to push them to the next level in a humble but nice manner, right? So that's my uh, my feedback on evaluation. Again, thank you, and special thanks to DTM Vinod for this wonderful PPT. And with this, I would have a small session with everybody. If they have any questions, any doubts, if they want to share something, uh, please feel free to unmute and ask. Yes, yes, Ravyaji.
Uh, Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes.
That was a really very informative evaluation education session, and I'm thankful I joined today. One question in the last points you were discussing, you wrote develop characters in the evaluation. Can you give any example of that? Because I did not get that point. I don't know how
So
to develop characters in the evaluation speech.
no, so you have to give a feedback. Like, so for example, you have a speaker who is who has said a story, right? So I'll go to the story which our MC mentioned just before that. She had two woodcutters, right? So you had two characters in that speech. So if that was a 7-minute speech, you have to build on the characters, like what was their background, what do they look like, what they wanted to achieve. So you have two people pitted against each other. One is a hardworking guy, and one is a smart working guy, right? So the characters have to be developed, that as an audience you are wanting one to do well, and one, so you know the person really well in that manner because they are well described. You can relate to that character. Basically, you can imagine. So this is from the speaker's perspective. As an evaluator, if I didn't feel that, I felt it was, I don't know who's this hardworking guy. I don't even know his name. So I can't relate to him as an evaluator, as an audience. So I will give my feedback saying that I wish you had spoken more about that hardworking guy. What is his background? Why was he so hardworking? What does he look like? What's his name? That's where, as an audience, you will have that rapport or you will feel for that. That's what I mean by to develop character.
Yes, yes. Now I get it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Anybody else would like to ask or share something?
DTM Ankit,
Yes.
what would be your top one disaster that we do
Okay.
while doing evaluations, which we usually do and
Mhm.
which can be avoided? So, what could be the top one for you?
For me, what I used to do a lot is repeat the content of the speech. So as I mentioned, I used to talk for almost 30-40 seconds of what the speaker has spoken and his journey. And I was told by one of the senior Toastmasters that, hey, why are you wasting time, Baba? Your half minute goes in telling what we know. Better you use this and tell us what you think about the speech, what where he did well, where he should improve. Summarize. So use that 30 seconds to summarize because I used to talk about the speaker for more time and his speech. That's one thing I have learned or try to control myself.
Thank you very much. And that's a disaster, right?
That is because the reason is from the competition perspective, you have to think that how will I win if I don't give three good points of improvement and how to improve. And if I don't give three good points of what I loved about the speech and why I loved about the speech, you will never win, right? You'll never come first because there's somebody else who will do it, who will not waste time and who will also summarize. So you have to think how to effectively use those 3.5 minutes. That is the key.
Nobody has a question. I have one more.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. In your part where you said packaging your evaluation, your first point was start different. So I know how to start a speech different. You prepare for it and you have a
Mm.
very impactful and emphatic opening. But how do we, can you give an example of how to start an evaluation speech differently?
Okay, so this will come with practice, one, and two will come when you listen to more evaluators in the contests. So how you can start differently is that obviously you can't do something too outrageous because you are an evaluator, you have your boundaries. So what I do generally is that I depend on the speech. I will give my opening remark. Okay. I will give my opening remark. That remark could be a quote, it could be a statistic, or it could be like a small one-liner poem. Not just think on the feet that today's day. So if the speaker gave a speech on rain and lightning, suppose, or the topic was floods or rain, I would have a small quote or one liner that today Dubai was blessed to have rain in its hot weather thanks to our speaker. Something like this, link it to the speech. Try to do that than having a generic comment which makes no sense. Try and have that with the speaker so you are different. And I personally feel that quotes are very important even in evaluation. If you can have a few quotes handy in your mind, it could more on the motivational and positive side. Like if the speech was on how, like, a journey of someone's life, if that was the speech he spoke of his life journey so far, you could start with, as we all know, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step, and today's single step was taken by our target speaker, Toastmaster Rabia. So something on those lines. Yes.
Thank
Hello, sir.
Hi. Hi,
Yeah,
Aksha.
I wanted to ask, like in contest, there won't be any objectives, right, for the speakers. So how
Hmm.
will be the evaluation be done for contest without any objective?
That's a great question. So in the contest, the good part and the bad part is that there are no objectives. So you can use anything from your personal feedback here. So what I really miss honestly, is the maybe Iram would know, or Lorraine here, is the Competent Communicator Manual, which we had earlier. So that gave you exactly 5 6 basic targets or objectives to be met. One was speech objectives. One was structure of the speech. Next is body language, voice modulation, and these were the main, and persuasion and inspiration. So these are the key parameters for every speaker. So you have to, one, I'll suggest you to read the Competent Communication Manual if you can. It's online. If not, I can share it with you offline. And two is that from this, you can also read the objectives in the pathways. So generally speaking, there are no objectives mentioned for an international speech. It is from your basic range, which will go from your speech structure up to your voice modulation, body language, use of stage, which is part of body language, and were you able to give your message in a positive way and motivate the audience? So, I mean, I don't know if Iram, you want to add something to this point, or if somebody else wants to add, please feel free. Okay, great. Who else? Anybody else wants to have? Yes, Iram, I think you did unmute or no?
I would just like to give it a repeat ask that if there is no other question, then we can
Yeah, we're already on red.
wind up. Toastmaster Imran, do you have a question?
I think
Now I
it's
think Toastmaster Imran has unmuted himself. All right. So I think we are done. Any closing notes from you, DTM Ankit?
no, I mean, just that thank you so much for the opportunity. It was a good experience, and it's just that what I love most about evaluation is that you have to have the mindset to help the speaker. I mean, if you have that mindset that you're there to give him some value add, that will help you to improve your own evaluation. So keep that in mind, then thinking that okay, I am somebody higher or low. It's not on those ways. Just think that you can add value to somebody's speech, and that will help him or her to become a better speaker. So that's it from my side, and thank you once again. I'm wishing everybody here all the best for the upcoming contests. Keep practicing evaluation. That's it.
Thank you so much, DTM Ankit. And there is, of course, now here I can say a huge round of applause for you. And
Okay.
we really enjoyed the simplicity of the training session today, where I could see that in the contest, the key to win is to keep the heart of the speaker in your mind. So if you take care of that, automatically you're going to give out a speech that already has winning points. So thank you so much, DTM Ankit. And DTM Ankit is always available, very helpful for anyone who needs a guide. So if anyone has questions, please drop it down in the chat box, and I would love to pass it on to him later. Now we are moving on to our next session. And for that, I have a story again. Please catch up with me in case I stuck a bit, because I do see it shows that my internet is unstable. So there was a competition of lumberjacks, woodcutters, and in the finale, they were just last two people. One was a young heartthrob kind of George Clooney kind of a guy. And the second one was a slightly older man with a lot of experience, but lumpy kind of one. So when he saw his competitor, he understood he's going to win anyways. So they went on two different sides. When the younger one was cutting the woods, he could hear that after a couple of cutting of trees, there was a pause. And then he heard that again in the next round. So he understood that the old man was getting tired and taking a break. And he was happy that he's already a winner. He did not take any gap. He did not take any rest and went till the end. Now, when they reached to the announcement stage, he was already having his chest filled up that he's going to get the award, whereas the winner, as you might have guessed, was the old man. But how did that happen? He was shocked. He said, I heard myself that you were taking a break after few cuts. Then how could you win? He said, I wasn't taking breaks for resting. I was sharpening my tools. That's about education sessions and trainings. We all know how to do table topics. We all have seen it in each and every meeting of ours. It's not possible that we don't see it. But there is a tip and a trick that makes you outstanding, and that comes with experience. And this story is actually lined up with the trainer who is going to come in, who behaves as if he's not a big deal, who behave as if he's very normal among us, but he's actually so experienced that you have no idea how much of tools sharpening he does. So my next trainer is a chartered accountant, and he's currently working for an NGO that provides education to underprivileged children. And he's also a trainer, an author, and all around a nerd and introvert. This is me reading, not agreeing. So he joined Toastmasters in 2016 and has served on all club positions except Sergeant at Arms. His home club is Karachi Toastmasters Club, and I must tell you, it's one of the top 10 clubs in the world. And he has served as CGD, PQD, and currently, proudly, he is the District Director of District 122. Please get your hands together for our trainer for Table Topics Education session, DTM Talha bin Hamid.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Iram Rizvi, and reminding everyone that I am very experienced, which is another word for old or ancient. Uh, Bad move. I should have dyed my beard today at least. But anyhow, full disclosure, I'm not as experienced as you suggest. I joined Toastmasters in 2016. There are so many things that I still don't know. And of course, we all continue learning. So today, what I'll be sharing is some of my experiences. As far as my credentials as a table topics trainer are concerned, I've spoken in a lot of table topics, yes, and I've won one club level table topics contest. So yeah, I have that under my belt. Other than that, nothing in particular. But I've judged a lot of contests and I've observed the results of many contests. So today I'll be sharing with all of you how to do well in a table topics contest. And the first news that I have for everyone is there is no short formula. I'd be lying if I say that I'll give you a magic bullet that will just let you ace every table topics contest. Every table topics contest is perhaps uh, it is the most unpredictable kind of contest in all of Toastmasters contests. First of all, it varies because of the topic given. So the topic given has a great bearing of how the contestants perform and how the judges expect them to perform. For example, let me give you an example. If the topic is simple enough, for example, something like the best memory from my school days, it's something open-ended, right? It is something that allows you to actually dig up a lot of old memories and then present something in 1 to 2 minutes. On the other hand, if the topic is something like I woke up at night and heard a crash and I went to investigate, that is something highly specific. You are expected to create a story. And in fact, the first condition of creating a story is that you continue right from where the table topics master or the contest chair in this case has left off. So it may not even allow you to do an introduction properly unless you creatively weave it into your speech. And you have to do all of that in 1 to 2 minutes. So that is my first key takeaway. The only magic bullet for a table topics contest is practice, practice, practice. You need to participate in table topics sessions in clubs everywhere you can. You need to conduct impromptu table topic sessions with your family, with your children. Uh, Grab your spouse or your brother or your friend and ask them to assign a topic. And remember, No one knows the topic besides the contest chair. And that is why they can assign you something that is completely inappropriate for table topics, and yet no one will be there to stop them. So be ready for anything. Having been a contest chair, trust me, selecting a topics for table topics is not an easy task. You have to weigh pros and cons. You have to see that it should not be so simple that everybody can speak on it without any challenge, and it should not be so difficult that people are tongue-tied when they come to the stage. So you have to strike a balance, and that is what dictates the choice of table topics given to you. Throw back your mind right now, especially the contestants there. In real life, we are all doing table topics all the time. We face tough questions from our family, from our bosses, from our colleagues. Sometimes some friends ask us some questions that put us on the spot, and we grow extremely uncomfortable. And our first reaction is anger. So, anger is the first sign of not being able to address something. So, cast your mind to that and recall a few situations that you faced recently which required you to speak in an impromptu, unprepared fashion. What did you do? What made it work and what got you stuck? That is your key. Discover how you did in those situations, what made those situations easy, what made those situations difficult, and apply the same skills to your table topic speech. How table topics in a contest differ from how table topics are done in a, let's say, club meeting. This is very crucial to understand. In club meetings, several times there's a gamification of a table topics session. People are pretty much at liberty to do whatever they want in terms of how they want to structure. And usually, and I've been a culprit of that as well, we try to make table topics as interesting, as engaging, as fun filled as we can, right? Because the table topics is designed to engage members, it is designed to add verve and zest to a meeting, and it is designed to attract new members. So that is why in normal meetings, in routine club meetings, the table topics are actually geared towards fun. 99% of the time, you'll find that the table topics master is giving you topics that are humorous or that are making people laugh or that are doing some ridiculous situations, uh, that are posing some ridiculous situations or questions that you. Sometimes there's even further gamification. So, for example, a table topic session may be a debate. The table topics master presents a statement and they ask half the people to defend it and half the people to oppose it. They may present a story that needs to be continued by all the successive table topics speakers. So, especially for everyone who is participating in the table topics for the table topics contest for the first time, that won't happen in a contest. A contest is quite formal. So the first expectation is that the topic will be substantial. It will be something that will allow the speakers to speak, but at the same time, not so easy, so as to just do away with the need for any thinking on the part of the speaker. So don't expect that. Secondly, in routine meetings, we are grateful that a person came to the stage at all and just spoke for at least 1 minute. We applaud them. Wow, you did an amazing job. Even though what we heard from them actually made us die inside. And we wondered how this person will ever speak on stage. But that's not the forum to vent these feelings. Uh, we are supposed to encourage because in a club meeting, the point of a table topics is to come on the stage and to speak for at least 1 minute. That's it. And you can stay relevant to the topic, you can deviate from the topic. It's entirely up to you. But in a contest, things are very formal. That's how it differs from club speech contests or club table topic session. You are expected to address the table topics question You're expected to stick to the topic assigned to you. How is that ensured? We'll come to that in a bit. But that is the first rule. You are expected to make your speech relevant. That is the first requirement of a table topics contest, which is completely opposed to what happens in a club table topics. I will display some of the rules, and I hope if someone can just indicate through some emoji that my screen is visible to them.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so these are the rules that are. Just give me a second. These are the rules that are applicable to all table topics, all contests, in fact, not just table topics. And we'll just skim through them. You need to be eligible, like you need to be a paid member in good standing. And of course, you cannot be a district officer, you cannot be a region or world officer, of course. And of course, you cannot be a judge, you cannot be the contest chair, you cannot be a role player in the contest. So that is your eligibility. But this is something very important. The subject of the table topics contest must be determined by the contest chair as outlined in the table topics section, contest section of this toolbox. Okay, so that is obvious enough. The table topics contest chair assigns the table topic. Okay, now this is the kicker here, and I strongly urge everyone to have a good look at clause D. Contestants must create their own speeches and each must be substantially original. That means it needs to be at least 75% original. It can be 25% taken from somewhere else, but even then, it must be so identified. Any quoted paragraph or reference content must be so identified during the speech presentation. So I interpret it to be saying that even if you're not conveying the source of where you took the content from, you should at least tell the audience that it is taken from somewhere. It should not come across as your own content. I may be wrong, but that is my interpretation of it. That at least the least you can do is during a speech, the least you can do is to tell the people that this is taken from somewhere. This is not your original content. And notice, it is applicable on all contexts. We just had an amazing session on evaluation contests. What do you think? If the evaluator relates something or copies their evaluation of, from some speech they heard or from some other source about evaluations, would they be qualified? They would not be, because contestants must create their own speeches, and that is applicable to all contests. Uh, so this is very, very important, and this is where I feel at least that we need to be more careful, because, for example, in table topics, one might think that, perhaps we can get away with relating someone else's story or talking about a celebrity. Now, what is originality? Okay? What is originality? If I go on the stage and relate the biography of a celebrity or a visionary or a scientist or a singer or an actor, would I be original? I don't think I'll be original, because I picked someone else's story and presented it in my speech. So even though my words may be 100% original, but if I make it a major part of my speech that is more than 75%, more than 25%, or even if I don't measure it, that is something else to focus on. And this is a situation which we encounter as judges. See, for example, you base your speech on the story of Little Red Riding Hood. I know I based one of my speeches on that story, where I posed as a Little Red Riding Hood. And I used that story and I drew parallels to my own life. But as creative as that speech was, and of course, there was no mention of Little Red Riding Hood. There was just the mention of a forest. There was the mention of a big bad wolf. Forest, big bad wolf. 3 words. But guess what? The entire idea of the speech was not original. So it would have failed the originality test, even if the copied content itself fell below 25. Keep this in mind, I'll repeat it. If you base your idea, if you base your speech on something that is not original, you have 90% chances of failing the originality test, even though your actual content may be less than 25% of, and you may even disclose it. But if you base your speech, if the very idea of your speech is constructed around something that is copied or derived from somewhere, that is a recipe for disaster. And yes, judges may ignore it, or maybe judges may not know it that this has been taken from somewhere. But why take that chance? We are all Toastmasters. We can all speak on the spot. We have a wealth of stories from our personal lives to draw upon. So why take the chance? That's my plea to all the contestants. Now I will briefly cover the ballot. And the ballot is, of course, the, for want of a better word, the benchmark or the Bible of a contest. When you come onto the stage, and this may sound very cynical and very self-centered, but it is the truth. When you come onto the stage to deliver a speech, you're not there to change the world. You're not there to awaken the audience to a new paradigm. You're not there to entertain. You're not there to express your skills. You're not there to impress the audience with your intellect and your vocabulary. You're just there for one purpose, to score highly on this ballot. Look at it again. This is your purpose. At least, yes, I know the purpose of public discourse should be much beyond than winning contests. And it is when we are in routine Toastmasters meetings. If we can mix and match our greater purpose with the purpose of a speech, why not? But in a contest, we are there to win the contest. And how can we win the contest? By sticking as closely to the ballot as possible. So if you have a look at this ballot, the first thing that strikes you is how similar it is to the ballot for international speech contests. Isn't that curious? And again, this is a major point of difference between contests and routine table topic sessions. In routine table topic sessions, you're not expected to have all this, but in contests, your speech is, in practical terms, your speech is expected to be a mini international speech contest speech. It should have a speech development, opening, body, close, organization, smoothness. 5 parts: opening, body, close, organization, and smoothness. And you have to do all this without preparation. Think about it. Think about it for a second. Perhaps it's easier to deliver all this in a prepared contest, but not in a table topic contest. Then effectiveness, logic, directness, enthusiasm, achievement of purpose, audience response. So first of all, if you go to speech development, keep one thing in mind. Your speech needs to have 3 parts: opening, body, and conclusion. If you miss out on the conclusion, you will lose at least 4 or 5 marks from these 30 marks, if not more. Secondly, your speech needs to sound like a prepared speech. That means it should have a proper opening. And you would do well. Again, I'm speaking as a judge here, not your judge, of course, a former judge of another contest. If you just repeat the topic and you just say that is a very good topic, or wow, what a wonderful topic, I'm sorry. That may win you the best speaker vote in a routine club meeting, but that will not cut it in a contest, especially at this level. Because remember, the level here is elevated. Everybody who is qualified for these contests has already won contests and they have done well. And how they've done well? They have done well by beating the expectations of the judges. So your speech needs to have a creative opening. You may even rehearse it. You may even rehearse an opening that can fit on any speech, right? It can be something creative. It, please don't let it be that, I have no idea what to say. Oh, that's such a difficult topic. Oh, thank you so much. And then repeat the topic twice. Or say, my hands are shivering and I'm sweating, etc., etc. Because all of that has been done to that. And there will be some contestants who will do it again. And guess what? They will fail to stand out. And you have to stand out before the judges. So make sure you have an effective opening, a proper body, and effective close. That is the first part that will give you 30 marks potentially. Then effectiveness, logic, directness, enthusiasm, achievement of purpose. So logic means, of course, it should be, your speech should be logically aligned with the topic that was given. Directness and enthusiasm, how direct you were. Like me, for example, sometimes people say that I take too much time in getting to the point. And alluding to, once again, my beloved CEC manual that has now been superseded by Pathways, it actually had a project called Get to the Point. It actually trained you to stop beating about the bush and get to the point straight. And in table topics, remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes. You have to get to the point straight away. You cannot waste time in relating something interesting about yourself or saying something about the contest or maybe mentioning some current affairs event. Don't let your mind wander, because once your mind wanders, the judge's mind wanders. Let me repeat it. Once your mind wanders, the judge's mind wanders. And when the judge's mind wanders, they lose attention. And when they lose attention, they don't give you marks. So you should be direct, you should be enthusiastic, you should sell your speech. You should believe in your speech and you should sell your speech. Achievement of purpose means sticking, of course, again, to the topic assigned. And what was the audience response? Now, in an online setting, that is tricky, but perhaps it will be a good idea. I don't know how the contest will take place. I mean, what will be the protocols? But perhaps it will be a good idea to at least have everyone visible, or at least some people visible, so that you can look at the screen and see how people are reacting. Physical, appearance, body language, speaking area. Again, this is tough given a virtual contest, but for a virtual contest, the speaking area is just one. Stay within the screen. And in fact, that also depends upon the contest chair or your district or your area or your division. If they have defined certain rules, which I'm not aware of, then you need to stick to those rules. For example, if someone says that at least from your head to your waist will be visible at all times, you need to ensure that. But again, with the camera, you can be creative. You can approach, you can go away. What you lose in your lack of ability to move horizontally, you can make up by moving in 3 dimensions, away and near. So think about utilizing that. Body language is, of course, very important. For example, if I am speaking to you right now, my facial expressions and my gestures should be telling you, hopefully, that whatever I'm saying, I believe in and I have experience. I thoroughly believe in the advice I'm giving you. If I'm not, then you can tell. If I'm just going through the motions of being a trainer, you can tell. So I'll make it my best effort that not only I am enthusiastic about my presentation today, but that enthusiasm shows through my body language. So if it doesn't, well, I won't suffer, but you will suffer on the contest stage. Voice, flexibility, and volume. Now, most of us, in fact, most of us Asians, and let's say, for want of a better term, non-Caucasians, or people who don't live in USA, Europe, and some other countries, we suffer from bumping. And that is what I've noticed when I've attended international meetings. They have a natural talent for displaying amplified facial emotions and amplifying their vocal variety. And they will do so even if they're reading the phone book. For example, if I say physical, appearance, body language, speaking area, and if you listen the same thing said by International Present Market Page, he would say physical, appearance, body language, speaking area. That's the difference right there. The same text, the same thing, and spoken in two different ways. So we don't have that advantage. And between today and the contest day, unfortunately, nothing is going to happen that will automatically bridge this gap. I'm sorry. So we need to introduce it artificially. We need to plant it. What's the easiest way to introduce voice flexibility and volume? Can anyone suggest? Can anyone take a guess? Anyone?
Practice, like practice or speaking, or I don't know.
Well, maybe, but again, as I said, we are naturally subdued Asians. We are used to speaking in a monotonous tone like I'm doing right now. So uh, perhaps purpose will not be enough. What we need to do to artificially bring it or plant it into the speech is to introduce dialogue, emulate someone shouting, emulate someone misbehaving. So, for example, I can say, I remember the day when my boss said, get out of the room. Or I can say, I remember the day when my boss said, get out of the room. So, that will convey some vocal variety and that will tick this very vital box of voice flexibility and what. So, you don't need to do it all the time. You don't need to shout out your speech. For God's sake, don't do that. But the easiest way to introduce flexibility and volume in your voice is to introduce dialogue or to copy someone. Think about it. Appropriateness, again, to speech purpose and audience is kind of repeating here, but there is one thing to be said. We have already covered the speech purpose because purpose has already been defined with effectiveness as well. So the speech purpose is, of course, your you sticking to the uh, topics that's given to you. What is appropriateness to audience? For example, if I start talking about something that is just very near and dear to me, but no one knows anything, no one else knows anything about. For example, if I'm talking about, let's say, an ancient computer game, Prince of Persia, that came in on two floppy disks, and I extol its virtues in front of today's audience, 90% of them will not have any idea of what I'm talking about unless I make it relevant to them, which won't be possible, by the way, in 1 to 2 minutes. You can do it in 5 to 7 minutes, but you can't do it in 1 to 2 minutes. So forget about it. Don't speak on anything that is uh, that you care about and other people are not likely to care about. Please select your content very carefully. And what is the one thing that will you care about and others will care about as well? Your life and the blunders that you made in your life. Remember that these work the best. This is called self-deprecating humor. We are mean creatures and we like to people suffer. And when we see people fall down, when we see people lose, we are secretly happy. So how many times that your do you recall that your friend got a promotion and or they scored a really big windfall in financial terms or had a major piece of luck and you congratulated them and you hugged them and secretly you said, oh my god, he gets everything always. Why? So so this is our nature. So make yourself the subject of ridicule, and people will love you for it. Trust me on that. Tell the audience the blunders that you made in your life. Tell the audience when you made a mistake or when you learned something new in your life. That is an unfailing treasure trove of content for tabletop. When all else fails, when you can think of nothing, think about your life, and you will get something to talk about. So, some of my final tips are, again, you are there to engage the judges. You are not there to change the world. You are not there to introduce a paradigm shift in world economy, right? You are there to score well on the ballot. And how will you do that? By fulfilling the criteria on the ballot, and also by keeping the judges engaged. Sometimes, and yes, I'm speaking as a judge, and I know it makes me sound awful, but uh, sometimes engagement trumps merit. For example, the speech that I'm more engaged in, I will subconsciously award them more marks versus a technically correct speech that did not engage me. So think about that. It should be engaging, uh, and your speech should have substance. Have say something in the speech that makes people think. I just talked about self-deprecating humor, about stupid incidents in your life or blunders in your life. That's all well and good, but it also should have some lesson, some substance, something to make them think about. That scores a lot of emotional uh, that shows a lot of emotional intelligence, and that scores marks with the judges. Judges are swayed by someone who makes them think and who makes engages their emotions. Um, so, just to recap, score well on the ballot. Think about your life if you are struggling with a topic. Don't repeat the topic. Don't say, wow, what a topic, because this is not your club's tabletop session. This is a contest. So start in an engaging way. If you need, you can rehearse a standard opening that can fit on all table topics contest. That's entirely up to you. Make it sound like a prepared speech as much as possible with the opening, middle, and end. And finally, think about scoring well on the ballot rather than entertaining or rather than changing the world. You need to engage the judges to keep their attention. Don't forget to surprise them with something, for example, a piece of vocal variety or something that is shocking to them, because that will also mean attention, and attention means marks. Once again, there's no magic bullet, but one magic bullet is you can draw upon your life history and pluck an incident out of it that will fit 90% of the table topics assigned to you. So with that, I bring this session to a close and open the floor for questions, or rather, the screen for questions.
Is it okay if I go?
Yes, Toastmaster Rabia.
DTM Talha, you were talking about volume in our voices. I have a really hard time doing that. Any tips on how to raise our voice, or it's very difficult for me.
Fake it till you make it. So you have to artificially induce these things, because I did the same. Artificially induce points where you can shout and whisper in your speeches. Shout and whisper both. Artificially, I mean, what I mean by artificially is build these into your speeches, because even if it is not fitting naturally, you have to do it. And one day you'll find that you can do it naturally. And secondly, and that stands for all speech contests. If you're traveling to a speech contest, or if you're in an isolated space, or if you're preparing to deliver a speech, shout, sing at the top of your voice, act out your favorite scenes, do everything ridiculous with your voice that can practice your throat and your voice. And when you're on the stage, you will find that you are much more willing to open up before the audience. So do that in an enclosed space. Yeah, I do that in my car while traveling to a club meeting. And um, yeah, I know people would think that I'm crazy, but they doesn't really make a difference because they already think so. So doesn't make it worse. But uh, that tremendously helps. Just shout, exercise your vocal cords, exercise your emotional speaking. Sometimes, just like that, you unlock something in your skill set that you didn't have before. So do that. To act out your favorite scene, deliver a practice speech. For example, pretend that you're performing in a drama and you're a mother telling off your son or something like that. Do something ridiculous with your voice before the contest. So any other questions?
For virtual meetings, is it important to stand up and deliver the speech?
Not really, not really. Although, again, I would strongly urge you to refer to the contest chair and learn the contest tools. For example, some contest chairs may decide that you can just sit like I'm sitting and deliver a speech, or some contest chair may decide that no, at least your top part of body may be visible. No one can force you to stand up, okay? But what they can force you to do is make as much of yourself visible as the contest rules are, and contest rules are vague on this. So it's largely up to the contest chair. The best we can hope for is that the same rules are followed from clubs to area to division to district. But I believe every district can define the visibility rules. It's not mandatory to have a certain limit on anything. But again, be very careful about the contest rules that are defined for you, and they are beyond the contest rule book. So be attentive to the contest chair. You can stand or you can sit, but if they have mandated that a certain portion of your body should be visible, then make sure that that is visible. And yes, again, drawing upon your question, in some situation, for example, in a presentation like this, or for example, if a speech involves a very high degree of facial expressions and vocal emotions, then perhaps it is better to sit down. Or for example, if it is story, it is something that is intimate and that is something personal, perhaps it's better to sit down. And yes, that's a sea change from what I used to believe a few weeks ago. But since then, I've learned that sometimes sitting down can be more effective for a speech. So I hope that answers your question.
DTM Talha, quick question. We are on red, so just few minutes.
Yeah.
If I get a topic which doesn't connect with me, for example, if I've been asked that what I wanted to be when I was a child. Now, when I was a child, I just wanted to play. I never wanted to be what my parents are. So, what should I do in my head at that time in those 5, 6 seconds to get a connection?
And that's a toughie. That's a toughie. And again, uh, uh, more often than not, we encounter this situation. And saying that even in a routine club meeting, saying that can you please change the topic is kind of a cop out. You don't want to do that. So perhaps the good idea would be to quickly think how can you turn this topic into something that you want to speak about. So for example, in the example that you mentioned, what did you want to be when you were a child? You can say, can children really decide what they want to be? And that will suddenly shift everything in your favor, and you'll be able to speak about what you really want to talk about. How can children think about their future? Their understanding is too limited. So even if they decide something that they want to be in the future, 99% of the time that will be something stupid, and they will end up becoming something completely different. And then you can perhaps bring your own life story that uh, for example, as a child, all I wanted to do was play, and today I'm not an athlete. So something like that. So I hope that answered at least part of your question.
You did. Thank you. There is a question. Okay, that's been answered. Any other question, please? We will wrap up then.
Yes, I would like to know that how can we engage the judges?
Okay. By first of all offering them something to think about. Number one, offering them something serious in the sense that it should be something about, for example, relationships, about the environment, uh, something that should make them think. And secondly, uh, telling about the times when you suffered in your life, when you suffered a setback, when you were ridiculed, or when you made a stupid mistake, because nothing will connect an audience to you if you pose as a loser. So yeah, you can then see how you travel from being a loser to a winner. But first, you have to be a loser in order to be a winner. And being a loser is the engaging part. So these three things have a strong material to think. Give them a strong material to think. Challenge their intellect and relate something from your personal life that is close to you. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha. Can we get a closing note from you?
Okay. I'm glad that you haven't got sick of me as yet, and you want me to speak even more. But I will just say one thing, that it is cliched to wish all the contestants best of luck. I won't do that, because if that were true, there won't be first, second, and third place, right? What should really count, and again, this will also be cliched, but I say this and I believe in this. What you need to do is go out there and deliver the best performance of your life. Nothing else matters. What happens after that, how judges perceive it, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter, because two different set of judges will give two different sets of results. What needs to matter is, ask yourself whether that was the best speech of my life. If you can answer yes, or at least it was one of the best speeches of my life, you have succeeded. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha, for that beautiful, knowledgeful session. And we have really learned that table topics has a secret ingredient, not. So it's a lot of mix of your luck, your timings, and your presence of mind. So thank you so much for clearing that. Whereas I was actually looking out for one wand, which DTM Talha cleared that it's not there. Thank you very much again. Now I'm going to go to my next story, and that is a bit contradicting to my first two. Again, there is a woodcutter. So I'm somehow very inspired by skilled laborers today. So there was this carpenter who went to his boss and worked over there for 26 years. And he said that, you know what, I'm tired, I'm retiring. I have sufficient amount of money to go on with my life. And his boss said, who was very sad, that, oh, it's very sad to see you go, but could you please do one last project for me, which I just closed. So this particular carpenter, with a half heart, went ahead doing that project. And every day the boss would bring in something new, tell him to add this, add the doors of this kind, do this thing here and there. And he would be so low that, you know, he just wants to finish that project and go off. When that house was completed, the boss said, "This is my gift to you as a parting gift." And that's when the carpenter realized that how bad he did of a project. And that was his worst project. This actually gives you a moral that whenever you come to the stage, or whenever you come in front of people, even if it is your last attempt, even if you felt that it's not well, give your best. You never know what magic your best could do. At times, we don't feel with that energy, but when you put up a good intention, good things happen, because that speech or that attempt is going to come back to you. So fellow Toastmasters and guests, now we have someone who's a champion speaker, someone who really amazes all of us whenever he comes on screen or chat. Even there, he does his magic. So he's a motivational speaker, a public speaker, a speaking coach, and he has been associated with key brands in the automotive industry, served in many companies based out of UAE, and he joined Toastmasters in 2007 and was DTAC champion for international speech in 2016. And today he's serving as a VP membership at Gardens Toastmaster Club. So imagine what club that might be where he's VP membership. So please get your hands together for Toastmaster Sami Harbawi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Iram. What a nice, beautiful words that you introduced me with. Yes, a club that has me as a VP membership is actually a club that is struggling to have new members. That's the reality. Because sometimes you face ups and downs, but Toastmasters taught us that no one is bigger than service. no matter where life takes you and how much you achieve, when your mother club is in need for you, you have to jump and be in service. And when any area requires help, we need to jump and be in service. And when any Toastmaster has a speech that needs to be crafted and a hope to win an award, we as Toastmasters need to be there, available to rescue. It's a lifestyle that we learned as Toastmasters. And unfortunately, some people get it all wrong. Some people jump into this lovely organization wanting an awards or wanting titles or achieving certain short-term goals. For me, Toastmasters has always been a transformational experience year after year. Now, in the introduction, Iram said that I joined Toastmasters back in 2007. And we are not just in 17, we are already in 2021, approaching 2022. And this is when I have to make a cliche, which is very critical cliche. In every speaker who spoke today in the evaluation, as well as Toastmaster Talha, I have learned a lot because I was paying attention from the beginning, because Humorous and International are nothing but an evaluation and table topic. They're all one. And what I want to tell all the participants who are watching this live or will watch it in recordings to come is that it's not about what you are going to learn from this session that's going to make you a winner. It's the mindset that's going to make you a winner. So if you're looking at a shortcut to make audience laugh, it doesn't work. If you look for a shortcut that will make the judges be wowed by your speech, it doesn't work. And if you think luck can get you an award, you are absolutely correct. But maybe in a contest within Toastmasters, but in a contest within life, luck doesn't help. It's preparation that makes a difference. It's how brave you actually determine to change your own voice. And that's for Toastmaster Rabia. The determination to change your own voice doesn't come overnight. It comes over a long time of process and practice. And with your voice, you determine to change your words. And the voice and the words are the two wings which will take you to any place you want to go in this life. And if I was not a committed Toastmasters over the years, I wouldn't have met someone like Toastmaster Medat, who is getting into Toastmaster from a Gavalier and taking it as passionate learning experience, not as a trophy collection process or titles collection process. So for me, I'm not declaring my age, but for me, Toastmaster Medat is someone I became in her mindset 8 years after I joined Toastmasters. So my first 8 years in Toastmaster wasn't the mindset that Medat has today. So it's a process that was improving. And I want to say this cliche because before we get into the topic, the main purpose of this session, I want each and everyone listening to me today to determine. You can never plan and set a target to win an award. It's not like normal targets in life. Someone comes and said, I want to set a target, I want to manifest it, and I want to achieve an award. Toastmaster is a simulation game. It's not the true life. The rule that we apply in law of attraction, the secret, being positive, apply in the real world. Toastmaster is not a real world. It's a simulation to make you a better person. By setting your goal to win an award in Toastmasters as a goal and work hard towards it, you are in the wrong game altogether. I have spent all my life as a Toastmaster learning from others and teaching others. And in 2016, the year that I won DTAC, I was told by so many Toastmasters leaders, stop coaching members, stop guiding members, focus on your own speech. And guess what? I did not listen to them. I improved my voice, my words, my speeches, my sense of humor by coaching and reflecting into someone else's speech. So the more you mentor, the more you shine. The more you put yourself in service, the more it comes back to you. I crafted my jokes. I enhanced my speech. Every time I would look at my speech, I wouldn't know what to add to it. Someone will call me and say, Sammy, there is a lady who won, or a person who won, or a person who won at this area level, and they need your help. Can you come and coach that person? And I will look at my schedule. I'm so jammed with tasks. But then I will go there and I'll spend these few moments and I will walk out. Maybe that person would apply 1% or 10% of what I said, but I have come up with a new concept of how to write my speech. And I must say this because we don't improve by coincidence, we improve by process. And Toastmasters process is endless. So you never know when is your time to win a trophy, but there will always the right time for you to improve. Having said that, I want to make a clarity here. Now, I want to know how much time would you like me to spend during this session? Because I have been given 40 minutes for each of the international and the humorous. And what I did is I mixed them up, combined them up. So I want to know exactly how much time do I have so I can plan my timing accordingly. How much time do I have?
Sami, you want to combine? You mean that I will show around 80 minutes the green light, or what, 70 minutes?
Well, the word 70 minutes and 80 minutes would scare the audience, and half of them will run away right now. So I don't want to take it that far. I want to keep it to maximum 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then open the floor for questions.
Okay. So session-wise you want? Like international, I will show like 35, 40
See, the things with the timing, you know me better, Muhammad. I don't even look at the timer. And if I look at it, I don't listen to instructions.
Okay.
So I would rather just continue, and hopefully I'll finish before 1 hour.
Sami, one question. Are you joining both the topics?
Yes.
Or you're separate?
Yes.
So then DTM Rahim at 45, we will give a green.
Yes.
And at 55, we will give a yellow. So he knows that he has another 20 minutes left for Q&A.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. And why I'm doing this, because it's every part of this session will suit the senior and juniors watching this video. So if you've been in Toastmasters for ages, you'll still find something in it. If you are new in Toastmasters, you will find it hopefully not overwhelming. We're gonna start step by step. And to ask you to start first, I want to promise you that there will be a lot of points that we will discuss requires you to unlearn what you learned before. But don't unlearn what you learned from Toastmaster Talha earlier. No, that part you need it, okay? But you unlearn what you had before you joined this session, maybe, yes. So I'm going to focus on three main things. International and humorous speech have certain components that you need to consider whenever you have a speech. And you also need to have them structured in a particular way to have the maximum impact on your audience. And there will be tips and tricks to create laughter and leave everlasting impact on your audiences. And before I start, I want you to understand this. I need engaging audience at least to kickstart. And to engage, you can write your comments on the chat. You can open your camera if you want to show us your facial expressions. And you also can open your mic to engage with us. Now, my first question for you. Why do we exchange gifts during different occasions? Diwali last week, there were people were giving, a few weeks ago, Diwali, people are giving gifts. The Christmas is approaching, people are buying gifts. Why? Why do we exchange gifts? When someone's birthday, we created a gift. Why? I fail to understand why. Yeah, please tell me in the chat or by voice.
Good.
Makes you feel good.
It makes other person happy.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm still single today because I'm scared of all these gifts that I need to bring on occasions. So why do we have to bring gifts? I want to understand.
To make good connections with others.
But we can make good connections when I talk, when we connect, when we shake hands, when we make jokes. Why do we have to exchange gifts?
It will remind in afterwards that the person gave this gift to you in past.
So it's another checklist. It's like, did you give the gifts or not? All right, I'm gonna give the gift. So Oh, Adnan is nicely writing interesting words. He says, to express the importance of relationships. How sweet, Adnan. Very nicely said. Yes. What else? Give me more reasons. Come on. Come on, come on. Give me more reasons. Stop giving gifts for the sake of giving gifts. Find valid reasons for it. Why do we exchange gifts?
Giving something without expecting anything in return. It is like a voluntarily giving something.
You
to
see,
someone.
the challenge is sometimes we give the gift and we say like what someone says, so that I will not be remembered as someone who did not recognize someone during a gift. You see, this is the difference between delivering a speech for the sake of achieving objective and delivering a speech for a purpose of achieving my goals. When you ask yourself a question, why do we exchange gifts? You realize that fine, for some reasons to express importance of relationships. That's fine. Now I have a second question. Just think about it. Why do we wrap the gifts before presenting it? Okay, this is your birthday, Toastmaster Adnan. I appreciate my relationship. I want to bring you a phone. Why can't I just give you an iPhone box like this? Why do I need to wrap it? Come on, think with me. Why do we need to wrap it?
To give the other person a surprise.
And why do I want to surprise the other person? It's his birthday. I want to bring him a gift. Here is my gift, an iPhone, latest copy. Why do I need to wrap it?
Surprises make a person happy.
Well, to be honest, the phone, buy me a phone, I will be happy. Don't surprise me. Just buy me a phone. The latest iPhone, I will be very happy. Why do we have to wrap it?
For
If
an
I have to wrap
etiquette, like it's an etiquette to wrap the gift before giving it to someone.
So, but why? Why do we wrap it?
I'll try to wrap it if I want to show the person who I'm giving to that I cared enough to make it presentable.
So you are showing that you value, like what Adnan said, you value the relationship, not the gift. So anyone can get an iPhone, but you wrap it because that's your touch. Okay, if that's what you say, I'm not going to argue about it. But
Something
my other
personal, something personal we can add to the gift.
We want, I mean, the curiosity. We want to keep the curiosity. This person will see and be amazed suddenly.
So you want to create an element of curiosity. Why? But why? Why do you want to create an curiosity?
We want to see the flash of happiness, sudden happiness.
But why? Why do you want to create that? Why do you want to create it? What's the purpose?
It gives us satisfaction also.
Then only Sami can reply.
It's because when you give someone the gift, it is not about the gift you give him, it's about the feeling you make him feel when he receives the gift. So the more you decorate that gift, you make it attractive, someone will say, oh my God, what a nice gift. Now I don't know what's in it. And then you want the person who received the gift to say, I can't wait to open it. In 10 years down the line, they will not remember that you brought an iPhone. They will remember what I remember how you made me feel when you brought me a gift. That's why, unfortunately, we have to buy so many gifts, because every time we are trying to crave a memory. Now I have another question. This is like endless for me. If you can help me answer this question, maybe I'll get married by weekend, by next week. But if I don't get answers, then I'm going to remain single for a longer time. Why do we have to associate the gift with the original box? I mean, I can buy an iPhone, I can open it up, and I can put it in a gift and give it to someone. Why? We always buy the perfume gift. We always buy the marker, the pen, whatever we buy for gifts. We keep it in the original box and then wrap it. Why? Anyone
to ensure
thought?
that it is, to ensure that it is new and not a used one.
So to ensure that I brought it for you. I did not took it off my existing shelf. So you go and buy a nice gift in its original box. You choose a cover to wrap it up. And then you ask, what else can I add to it? And you add a flower and you add the gift. and you add a touch and you wrap it in a nice way. Why? Because when you come to approach your loved ones, you want them to think, you want them to feel, and then you want them to quickly act and open it, because that is the experience you are trying to create. And that is exactly what we do whenever we craft a speech, be it humorous or international. The main objective of your speech should always be not the message, I want to inspire them, like Toastmaster Talha, how he says, I want to change the, no, you're not supposed to change the world. You're not supposed to inspire the audience. You are just expected to think, what can I speak about that can make the audience think in a direction, have a certain feeling, and take a specific action. So a few things that I would like to emphasize what Toastmaster Talha said, because we are all speaking the same language. When you are doing a humorous speech or an international speech, it is not the purpose to save the world, nor is it to change someone's life. It is about learning the art of structuring your speech in the right way that make your message effective. Effective in what terms? In making the audience think about the idea you share, feel that is important to consider, and take an action upon it. With this, your emotions has to set aside and you need to think, how do you achieve the think, feel, and act? And with this, if you ever writing a speech and you said, you know what, I want to tell my audience what had happened to me, I want you to ask yourself again, is it what you want to tell the audience, or is it what you want the audience to think after you tell them? It's about what you want the audience to feel after you share your speech or a story or a message. So it's always about, I want the audience to think this when I do this, and I want them to feel this when I say this, and therefore I want them to act like this when I say this. Your audience is the anchor, not the judges. That's why I beg you, stay away from the judging criteria when you write your winning speech. That's my message. I never looked at it. I never considered it. I never even wanted to look at it, because once you look at it, you become influenced. Oh my God, I forgot to add keywords. Oh my God, I forgot to add turning point. Oh my God, I forgot to ask question at the beginning. I need to do this so that I can get this. It doesn't work. Maybe it works with table topics. Maybe it works with evaluation. It doesn't work with humorous and international in my own personal humble experience. But once you put it around the audience, you will start to add flavors to it, and the speech itself will become complete step by step. And to start with, I would like to highlight what's international speech is not. All right, let's get to what's international speech is not and what's humorous speech is not before we know what are they. First, international speech as a contest, as a speech, is not a casual storytelling. So you don't want to stand there and just tell a story. That's the first most important one. The second one, you do not want to just bring insignificant topics related to your personal life. That's not the point. I'm not gonna sit there and see someone talking about how he succeeded and become a CEO, because that topics related to your personal life may be only customized to you. It's not related to me. I do not want to see how you succeed as a husband, or how you succeed as a housewife, or how you had conflict with your parents, unless you can relate it to me. So it's also not a conversational talk. And I want to warn a lot of speakers who sometimes in that speech, they turn to have a conversational talk. I looked at my wife and I told her this. She looked back to me and she said this. I didn't know what to say. I told her that. She looked back to me and said this, and we never spoke since ever. What is the point? This conversation of back and forth is something between you. It's not part of the speech. and you want to look at it, is it a conversational talk? It's not. All right, what is it? What is not then? It's also not a preaching. It's not like you should now stop. It's not a preaching. It's not a one-way talk that I'm going to tell you stop doing that. And it's not about drama of life. Oh, what is it then if it's not all that, Sami? It's a formal speaking opportunity where you share personal experience that is relevant to everyone. Addressing a topic that leads to an action, set of actions that has sense of urgency, which lead to a promise of a better future if you respond to this action. Whatever your message is, if it is personal experience that is relevant to everyone, and your topic is leading to a certain action, and the set of actions has a sense of urgency that needs to be implemented immediately, and if I implement it, I'm going to get a promise, then that is what your international speech is all about. And to reach there, you need to take out your personal emotions in it. You know, I want to tell them about my story when I jump there because it will inspire them. Who said so? Is it relevant to everyone? Or is it personal story that is eager and new and you just want to say it? You know, you had a situation with someone and you want to speak about it. It's calling for her, for you to speak about it, but it's not actual what you want to speak about. So again, look at your speech. It has to be a personal experience that is relevant to everyone. And the topic of that personal experience will lead into an action or set of actions. And these action or actions must have sense of urgency. They need to go implemented now. And if you are implemented now, it should lead me to a promise of a better future. Should I apply this call to action? Now, this is a message for the international speakers. Now let's talk about humorous. What is humorous speech is not. Humorous speech is not events that happen to me. This Kamal would tell you. It's not a one-liner jokes. And again, it's not a conversational talks between 2-3 people. And it's not a funny drama of life that you woke up late and you tried to catch the bus and your wife was shouting at you and you went chasing your salary and you did not. It's not about funny drama of life. It's not about funny details of your childhood when you were chasing your friend and he shot at you and you shout at him, oh my God, that was a very funny situation. And it's not mocking someone. I'm sorry, Toastmaster Iram, it's not about mocking your husband or your parent or your boss or your mother-in-laws. It's not that at all, and it is not story of embarrassing events. So most of you said, but Sami, where else do we get the jokes from? Where else do we get the humors from? The minute you let go all these things, you will realize where does the humor comes from. But as long as you are hanging on the embarrassing situations, thinking what made you laugh will make audience laugh, and that's what made you humorous in your mind, what will happen is that you will live in a zone that is not humorous. It could be funny. Don't get me wrong. All these situations could be funny, like drama of life, how someone fought to be single and finally he was forced to get married. Okay, fine. All these things can be funny to tell, but are they humorous? There is a big difference between them, and we'll see that. So what is humorous speech is all about? It's an exaggerated events or stories. Exaggerated descriptive of characters. Respectful criticism, especially self-criticism. So the whole point on a humorous is an exaggeration set of events, exaggeration set of characters, exaggeration set of voices, exaggeration. When you share emotions, you exaggerate it. When you share information, you exaggerate it. When you share opinion, you exaggerate it. And when you share a hope, you exaggerate it. And you put that all in a speech that doesn't resonate with logic, but resonates with emotions, and that becomes a humorous speech. And to take it further, I know some of you are surprised to know this fact, but to take it further, you need to know that as a speech, you are dancing between 4 objectives. You're dancing between entertain, where you speak about emotions, and then you share information, and then you share opinion, where you persuade, and then you conclude with inspire. So let me give each one here as an audience a very quick tip. You have a 5 minutes to 7 minute speech. Could you please avoid jumping to inspiration before the end of your speech? Avoid jumping to persuasive language before the middle of your speech or towards the conclusion of your speech. Your 80% of your speech is actually falling between entertaining and informing all the time. For example, someone wants to open the speech. They feel like, let me ask the audience something. How many times have you, they use the word you, avoid it, because you is persuasive. And by starting at a persuasive note, you're actually rushing into the zone of main topic before you even touch and connect with your audience. So we want to focus during today on how to entertain, how to inform, how to persuade, how to inspire to make an amazing international speech, but also how to exaggerate when you entertain, exaggerate when you inform, exaggerate when you persuade, exaggerate when you inspire to make a beautiful, humorous speech. And the more you master the art of entertaining and the art of informing, and you go back to entertaining and you jump back to informing, and we're going to talk about it more. And then you come towards the conclusion to put your message of persuading over there, you will find tremendous difference in how you achieve your goals. Quick glance on understanding the difference between speaking and talking. This is a message for anyone. When you speak table topics, when you speak evaluation, when you speak humorous or international, most of the marks we lose in table topic and emotion in evaluation is because we give it in the tone of talking. Casual, short statement that is not structured. So I'm leaving this mark here. Whenever you watch this video, always pay attention. Where my language is. Am I speaking in like an arrow in a structured way when I build my statements, or am I casual talking? So when I'm telling a story in my speech, am I going like, you know, when someone is married, you know, he came and, you know, in India, we do a lot of ceremony, like wedding can stay for like 1 week, maybe a wedding, you know, in India, back where I'm from, you know, this is a casual way of saying. So how do I say the same statement in a structured way? In the land where I come from, the land of legends, India, we're not like all other civilizations where marriage can simply be a process of agreement and a contract to be written and a 1-hour ceremony. No, no, no. We start the reception in 3 days. We have the formal ceremony in 1 week. And the food shall be served for almost 2 weeks. Now, if I want that statement to end up with humorous, and probably the wedding will be canceled and the divorce will take place before even the food is not served. So what happened here? I actually frame the same statement in a structured way. That's speaking. But if I will say, where we come from India, we actually have the wedding for almost 2 weeks, you know, we keep on feeding, we keep on having parties and dance, and we keep drinking. That's a casual way. So we want to find out your style has to be speaking and not talking all the time. And whenever we are writing a speech, you always want to know that you as a speaker have a fight. There is an internal fight going on with your life. What is this internal fight, Sam? The internal fight is between your logical thinking and emotional thinking. Logical thinking and emotional thinking, you want to fight, you want to control them. You don't want your logical thinking to take over the emotion, and you don't want your emotion to take over logical. You want to balance them. It's stated before, as Toastmaster Talha said, emotional intelligence. You want to state your balance between them. So the process of balancing between them, let's see how does that work. By the words of Michael Jr., he says, humorous is anytime you laugh, you must have seen or heard or remembered something which contain a setup and a punchline. All right? So that's the basics. Whenever you want to create a humor, you need to know that the humor comes from a setup and a punchline. The setup is when the speaker uses the talent, resources of any opportunity to move the audience in one direction, while the punchline occurs when the change of direction takes place unexpectedly. So every time you want to craft a speech and you want to inject humor, that's what you did. You segregate the setup from the punchline. When you get to expose the change, you receive the punchline. The results are revelation, fulfillment, and joy expressed through laughter. Now, I want to show you an example of how this works. I want to ask for volunteers. Timer, remind me, how much time do I have? How much time I spent so far? Muhammad, how much time I spent so far?
23 minutes.
Perfect. So I want to quickly, who wants to comment on this picture? Who wants to comment on this picture quickly?
COVID.
Who wants to comment?
Yeah, everyone is due to
Toastmaster
COVID. Everyone is.
is it Naveen? Okay, carry on.
Yeah, Naveen. Yeah, everyone is okay, covering their face.
Who's
due to
everyone?
COVID.
Naveen, who's everyone?
Okay, all the people in the image.
So when you said everyone, your logical thinking was controlling you.
Okay.
And logical thinking, and this message for everyone who's going to listen in the future, when you said everyone, your logical thinking was controlling you and telling you everybody is looking at this photo, so everybody knows what everyone is, so use everyone, because logical thinking doesn't want you to reveal the details.
Can I?
Got it.
No. Stay with Naveen. Stay with Naveen.
Yes,
I want to make a point here.
Yes.
Now, what's your second option? What's your second option, Naveen? You said all the people in this photo.
Yes.
Now, again, logical thinking is saying, this Sammy is putting me in the corner. I'm going to give you another word. All the people in the photo. I'm specific now. No, you are not. Because your logical thinking, again, doesn't want you to reveal more details. To make it funny, you need to reveal more details. So you need to say, 2 ladies and 2 young men, right?
Yep.
That makes it more vivid. Now, Naveen,
Sure.
I want you to make it more vivid than this. Naveen, stick with Naveen. I want you to make it more vivid when you describe a statement. So I told you, you need to say 2 men and 2 ladies. Can you make it more vivid?
Yeah, 2 men, 2 women who are wearing all white t-shirts. And
now wait. But why your logical thinking did not give you a chance to describe the ladies and the men? Why you did not add the word young, beautiful, attractive? What happened here? You know, logical thinking doesn't want you to create vivid words.
Okay, got it.
He wants you to get to the point directly. And in order for anyone to write a funny statement about this picture, you want to build that background we are going to talk about in the coming. Now, this was just to give you a point because I need to move on. Thank you, Toastmaster Naveen. In order for you to build a background, I want to give you these tips. 1, avoid the logical sound while stating your statement. Because your logic start to affect your logical sound, make you look monotonous. Be aware of the driving of your voice tone towards the end. For example, as you all know, you see that swing? That is the casual way, not assertive statement. Be attention of the swing that may come towards the end of each word. Like you see these guys, you know, I was talking to my husband, I was talking to my wife, that swing that comes towards the end. So what is the difference here? What do? you effectively push your voice high and say, I was looking at my wife, not my wife. Yeah. I drove my car, not I drove my car. That makes a tremendous effect on your connecting to the audience, because the swing attracted logic, while the push brings the affirmation and assertiveness. Avoid logical filler words such as then, after that, now, this happens because, actually, and really. All these are called vivid words that are affecting and making logical thinking control your statements. Avoid saying what are you going to speak about, and how you are going to present, and what are you going to talk about, because when you say it clearly, you are, especially for evaluation, sometimes when you structure, you say, I'm going to evaluate based on this and this and that. It doesn't make a difference. If you go directly to it, it creates more emotional impact. Your logical brain will always try to assume, but remember, the magic is in the details. Describe everything so that audience, wherever they are, can imagine what you're speaking about. And avoid saying, what are you going to speak about? So in case you are a new speaker, avoid telling in any speech that you deliver, I'm going to speak about this, and then I'm going to speak about that, because that is logical. Logical wants you to organize yourself and be organized, and you don't want that. You want to be surprised. Now, how to begin crafting your winning speech? Step number 1. Here, I'm going to speed up. I'm not going to make it very interactive. Sorry for disappointing you. There is nothing such as winning speech. Sorry, because it's just developed over, you can develop the habit of writing speeches one after the other until you reach the winning one. There is no shortcut for success. There's no shortcut for glory. You have to put your effort and time if you want to make a difference in someone's life. But where would your starting point be? Very simple. They say, and we always say this statement, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with how many steps? How many steps? Come on. The journey of 1,000 miles. How many steps? One step, right?
One step. First step, one step.
But whenever we want to write a humorous speech, we always want to start with 750 steps. We always want to write a speech. And I always say, no, you don't have to write a speech. You can always write one point that may be an answer to a table topic question. So what you need to pay attention to, if you want to craft a very strong speech, just focus on speaking about one point. Write a mini speech of 150 words. You need a piece of paper or a laptop, and you need your own words. So what is your step? Now you have a piece of paper with you, or do you have a piece of paper over you? Get it now. Get it, come back, be prepared. Toastmaster Talha, bring your words along. Toastmaster Adnan, bring some words from your dictionary, please. So, Iram, get your some documents. We're going to do some action here. So you have a piece of paper and you have some words, right? What do you do first? You want to write a speech, be it funny, be it humorous, be it international. Your first step, take a theme for your speech. What would your speech theme be? That's for you. Okay, so maybe example will be no excuse to lose your humanity. When life leaves its marks on your body, never to give up, the will to escape, resist. When you have nothing to lose. When any statement or theme that represents your speech, be it humorous or be it international, pick any theme you want, because never to give up is gonna be an exaggeration story about never to get married. When life leaves marks on your body is when your father is gonna beat you with the belt. So everything can go seriously inspiring, and every statement or topic can go to the humorous exaggeration side. Why? Because here I have a mix between logic and messages, and here I have mix between exaggeration and inspiration. So I can take any theme of that to take it to the direction of seriousness and inspiration, or I can take it to the direction of funny, humorous, and laughter. And then I want the components. What do I want to achieve? If I can achieve this experiment, then I have the pillars of success. I need to learn the balanced structure. I need to learn the difference between engaging and challenging questions. Many people make a big mistake, ladies and gentlemen, and I see it in many speakers. They believe asking questions at the beginning would attract the audience attention. If it's an engaging question, yes. But if it's a challenging question, no, because you don't want to step up in front of audience and say, how many times have you failed miserably in your life? And in front of you, people who don't want to raise their hand, because you're challenging them, you are intimidating them. But if you said, how many of you have failed in doing things for the very first time? Everyone is going to raise his hand. So there is a difference between engaging question and challenging question. Be aware of that. Elements of humor, which we will talk about hopefully today, call to action, personal stories, and simple message. These things need to be combined in any speech that you deliver. Now, your speech is going to be most of the time looking like an airplane flying. Your opening statement will have to take off with your speech. And the time of this takeoff, if any of your speech, will look like an airplane taking off in reality. Your flight will always take off in the opposite direction of their main destination. So when you take off, make sure you don't reveal the topic at your takeoff. So in your first 30 seconds to 1 minute, whatever you address, before you address Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, that period of time is 30 seconds to 1 minute. You need to always remember, it's like a takeoff in your airplane. It should not be in the same direction of your speech. What is important is to be smooth takeoff. Any flight, what matters is to be take off smoothly, not the direction of the flight. The direction of the flight wouldn't matter at this stage, because at certain stage, the flight is going to change its direction. So how can you have the most smooth takeoff of your speech? Again, humorous or international applies the same principles. What's the difference? The difference is exaggeration versus no exaggeration. That's the whole difference. So what would be the ideal way of kicking off your speech? Think of a metaphor, a personal philosophy, or a story from the history. However, keep in mind that the purpose of this story is not to reveal your topic, but it's to attract audience attention. If you share your personal philosophy, the point here is that you need later to indirectly relate it to your speech. If you share your personal story, you need to later indirectly link it to the topic. But at the start, when you share either your metaphor or history or philosophy, your main objective is just to attract attention. It's just to hook audiences. Now, this can also be applied in table topics as well, because it helps you to kick off sharing your personal philosophy or bringing a metaphor or bringing a personal story. You can always ask questions to hook the audience in the introduction, but this is when I say, be aware. At the start, you want to ask engaging questions and not challenging questions. You have to be smart, because a challenging question will not make the audience raise their hand. Instead, they will judge you and disconnect with you for the rest of the speech. You do not want to threaten, you do not want to intimidate them, you want to engage them. You want a question that makes them feel welcome. So this can be, for example, a quotation, stating a quote that is inviting audiences to sign up into the next few minutes to listen. That could be a statement. However, and I know people might ask me, should be a quote would be effective. A quote can be effective, but you need to speak for minimum 30 seconds, maximum of 1 minute. So if you share a quote, You want to emphasize how this quote have affected your life or touched your feelings or made you think differently, because you want to have this take-off process minimum 30 seconds and maximum 1 minute. If you make it 10 seconds only, it doesn't help connecting their audience. And for the benefits of the time, I'm going to have a checklist here how your opening, the gift wrapping you have, would be so effective. One, does your opening, you need to ask yourself this question. Does your opening statement, which is before Mr. Contest Share Fellow Toastmasters, before that, does it grab attention? Does it touch emotions? Does it include a debatable points? If you put a debatable points, you awaken the logic, and you don't want to awaken the logic. The last thing you want to do is to awaken the logic at that stage. All right? You don't want logic. And it should not be a personal opinion that is open for debate at the opening. And you get the audience to know what are they going to receive a gift, but they still don't know what it is. They know there's something interesting that you're bringing. There is a level of anticipation. I can't wait to listen to the speech, but not already we know what is he. He brought me a book. So at this point, you want to ask yourself, what should I say that makes my audience feel excited about what I'm going to speak about? And that's what makes a difference. Now, remember the takeoff. The airplane is taking off, right? At some point, the airplane is going to shift direction. Those who did not fly for a long time, I'm sorry for bringing these sad memories back to you, but I hope you get to travel soon to a destination that you love. But then after you take off and you say, Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters and respected guests, now you still don't get to your topic, my dear listener. Still too early. Because in the first part, you created connection. Now you want to share the transition between the opening statement and the main topic. So another 30 seconds to 1 minute, your objective is to share information. Tell them what are you going to tell them indirectly. So at this stage of the flight took off like this. It will start to change direction. And then when it's set to the right direction, it will start. So what would you say during that time? You can say whatever you want. You can say it exaggerating. You can apply the humorous tips we are going to share, or you can make it informative. But please do not make your introduction inspiring. Do not make your introduction persuasive. Many people rush into this point and start to say how long, and they start to leave the inspirational messages, or they go persuasive. You do not want at this stage, you want to inform them, and I'll show you examples, real examples how to do that. Now that the journey started, the air hostesses are going to ask you to open your seatbelt. They will ask you to, what would you like to have? Because the experience has just begun. So your takeoff was preparation, hooking the audience. Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and then you are telling me what you are going to tell me, but you're not revealing it yet. You might make it funny. We'll talk about that, but you're still not showing the points. Now that the airplane is taking off and direction is right, you start your experience. You start the real journey. How do you do that? We're going to talk about it. But that's when you are looking at your speech body as a gift. You want to wrap it up nicely. You want to have supporting documents, supporting points, personal story, logical arguments. Huh? What did you say? Logical arguments? Yes, in the speech body, not in the opening and not in the opening statement. Not in the opening statement and not in the introduction. In the speech body, you bring the logical thinking, because you want logic and emotions at that point. Now here, I want to show you basic rule of any paragraph. And this is going to take a long time if I will speak about it. But every time you are writing a statement, be it opening, be it introduction, be it body, conclusion, any points that you write in your speech, always component of 3 main points: topic sentence, supporting sentence, and closing sentence. Example: I love to go to the gym. That's a statement. Now, do you know why I love to go to the gym? No. Then I need to support it. I love to go to the gym. I see my best friends there. I lose calories that I don't need. And you never know, I might find my wife there. Now, these are 3 points that are supporting my main topic. I can stop here, or I can make the sentence more attractive by adding closing sentence. So I love to go to the gym. I meet my old friends. I lose calories that I don't need. And you never know, I might find the girl of my dreams. The only problem is my mother has to always come with me in order for her to approve that girl. So the closing statement was the turning point that I want to create a humorous in. But I may not want to do that. It's entirely up to me. But whenever you are writing your speech, ask yourself, every paragraph, if I'm talking about the 150 speech, 50 words, okay? 150 words. The rule of 3 is one of the most interesting rules that you want to apply in a humorous and international speech, body, or introduction. It fits everywhere. The rule of 3 is basically when you set a principle that comes in 3s, all right? Everything that comes in 3s, 3 points, 3 descriptions, 3 reasons, always 3s. Now, if you look at international speakers who did this beautifully well, were Danajia Hitiraji. He said, now I've seen my mom cry before, but mothers cry for 3 types of tears: tears of joy, tears of sorrow, and tears of shame. The rule of 3. It's very, very effective. You can use it in your opening, you can use it in your introduction, you can use it in your closing. And when son sees the mother's cry, tears of shame, that when life gives a changing moment. That's a life-changing moment. So what happens here? This was meant to be a statement of 3 that has an inspiration or has a attractive, entertaining, attractive purpose. If you are doing a humorous, you can always turn the 3rd point to unexpected direction. But in this statement, because he's saying mother are crying, you cannot make it funny. You want to make it sorrow. You want to make it feel of self-shame. Now, what are the tips that if you use the rule of 3, what are the other tips that you can apply? You can always repetitive of key word statements. So again, you are writing your speech body of 150 words, and you are writing some words like how Hitirachi did it in his speech and said, now when you are broken, it's very difficult to feel special. And when you are lost, it's difficult to feel special. He was emphasizing on these words. Now, after the flight reached its destination, you come to the landing. The airplane will start to correct its direction slowly towards landing. And that is what we say at the end of your 3 main points that you're addressing in a speech topic. You start to prepare the audience for the conclusion. And this is when you summarize what you just said. And then you introduce a call to action. That is the time where I recommend you beginning the persuasive language. What could be the tips that you apply in the speech conclusion? Challenging question versus engaging questions. How long will you need before you do this? Challenging question. What should happen on this planet for you to wake up? Challenging question. Because you've already entertained them in the beginning, you made them laugh, they like you, you come at the conclusion and you throw a challenging question. What else you can use? Repetitive of words in the form of summary. Danajia said it. I was broken. I have been broken, lost, and broke many times of my life. He repeated the same keywords that were used in the speech. And then what happened? After the airplane corrected its direction to prepare for landing, what happens simply is a landing process. And in the landing process, what happened? Again, the landing has to be smooth. It has to be emotional and assertive. The pilot cannot have doubts. You know, should I go now or not? Well, I'm not really sure. He can't. He has to be assertive. He has to be straightforward. So what are the tips you use during the closing? Use the same words that you used in the opening. It's a very effective technique for the landing. And how long the landing takes? 30 seconds only, and it's inspirational. And we're going to see now real examples. How did that happen? So in general, your speech looks like this. All right. The entertainment part takes 30 seconds to 1 minute. Then the introduction part, which is you tell them 1 minute, 1 minute and a half. You tell the audience, what are you going to talk about? And until this moment, there is 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. The audience are still excited because they feel there is a topic you're going to speak about, but they don't yet know exactly what you're going to talk about. Now, when you come to the points, you have in the body, you have 3 main points you want to speak about, or maybe 4. And that's when you entertain, that's when you put a story, that's when you inform, that's when you persuade. But during this part, you need to always apply this concept of structure your main topic, support topic, and closing topic every time you address a point in the body. And we will show you how. I have a practical example here. I'm not just giving you theories. I have a practical example from the world champion himself. Not me, but himself. So get prepared. Your speech will have this component of 3 points, and then comes to the conclusion. You remind the audience in 30 seconds of what you want them to do. You put the call to action, and then you move to the inspiration part for the landing. Now, prepare to see a real example. Muhammad Qahtani winning speech, The Power of Words, is a very simple theme, applicable to everybody. The main speech is just 170 words. The rest were supporting stories and entertainment stories. Out of 700 words, 170 only was his message. Let's read it together. Words, when articulated in a particular way, can change someone's mind. They can alter someone's belief. You have the power to bring someone from the slums of life and make a successful person out of them, or destroy someone's happiness using only your words. Does that seem too good to be true? This was serving as an introduction, and for those who watched that speech, it came after the funny, attractive opening of him trying to put on a cigarette. And the body of his speech contained 3 main points. A simple choice of words can make the difference between someone accepting or denying your message. And then he supported this statement with a story of his son. And in that story, he showed us the turning point on what happened to his son. And every time he made us laugh was injecting humor in between purposely. What was the second point? You can have a very beautiful thing to say and say it in the wrong words and it's gone. And then he brought the story of the environment and environment change, climate change. And the third point was, if you are a person who is admired, if you are a person who is a role model, anything you say could be believed, anything you utter could be taken as a truth. And he brought the example of his friend to support this point. And the difference between the story that you bring to support an opinion shows you that the points are very simple, they're very limited, they're not that complicated. So when you are actually writing your speech, You want to divide the personal input and the story that you put to support. Most of the time, people lead their stories as the whole speech is a story, and there is no meat in between. There's no points that you are actually addressing. And then in his conclusion, he said, words have power. Words are power. Words can be your power. You can change a life, inspire a nation, and make this world a better place. Isn't that what we all here for? That was the conclusion. He was summarizing what he says. He was challenging the audience. Isn't that what you all in this hall? And then he concluded by saying, your mouth can spit a venom, or it can mend a broken soul. And then he linked it to the conclusion with the cigarette in his hand, said, let that be our goal. So what did he do here? That is a full introduction body conclusion. However, he smartly injected story at the beginning to attract your attention. So what did he do with his story? To convince us, to make the personal stories very convincing, he brought his son, he brought his friend. He ended his friend in a tragedy, and his son ended the story with him listening to him. He simplified the words of his message, so he did not complicate it. And he made the speech very simple, of 170 words only. The rest were entertainment and personal stories. How did he start his speech? He first attracted our eyes by putting the cigarette together. And then he said, what? And he stated an exaggerated opinion. Again, the story he had about diabetes and cigarettes was also an exaggerated story. So he exaggerated that story part to make a point later that words are powerful and words are effective. So you can't have an opening that is not related to the topic. And therefore, then he moved to tell us words are power, and then he had the 3 points. Each point was supported with a personal story that is relevant. One of them was funny story when he was talking about climate change. That's not a personal story. It was logical opinion. Again, you don't always have to support yourself with a logical. You can always support with a logical opinion. He said, when you look at them, they go something like this. And he mixed between humorous and logical thinking. But I want you to see the speech in bits and pieces, because any of you can make small bits and pieces, put it all together into a winning speech. Quick tips about storytelling. Tell them versus show them. Most of the time, a speaker, when he tells a story, he says, as if he's telling the audience, I was sitting in my house with my wife. You are telling me. Then my son walked into the house. You are telling me about an event. You're not showing me. But if you want to show me, you want to describe your house, perhaps. You want to describe, here I am in my kingdom, a slave because the queen was there. There she is, the queen of this place. I call it home. She believes it's my present. What happened here? I'm describing the place. Few vivid words that mean thousands of words. Before you start, pause and breathe. Before you say any statement, pause and breathe. Because when you pause, it allows you to control your voice and make it more formal. Pay attention for the assertive language versus logical language. And then persuasive versus inspiring. The language that you want to make to your speech towards the end, towards the conclusion, has to be inspiring. Previously, when you are concluding, when you are speaking your speech body, you are using the persuasive language. You want to manage, when are you inspiring, when are you persuading? Now here I want to ask the audience a question. What's the difference between inspiring and persuasive? What's the difference between inspiring and persuasive? Come on.
Persuasive is trying to convince.
Mhm.
Inspiring is like giving a message and convincing the people rightly
But then
with the message.
but you just said persuasive is to try to convince, inspiring is try to convincing. It's ing only in the game. So both are convincing. Am I right?
Toastmaster Sami, inspire
Yes.
means we inspire the audience to take action, to do something.
Muhammad, I'm asking you what's the difference between inspiration and persuasive, and you are telling me inspiring is to inspire the audience. I mean, you are
No, I mean that call the audience to take action. Like
but then even persuasive, you're talking to the audience to take action.
I
What's the
think
difference?
inspiring is when the audience takes action themselves without us telling them to do it. In persuasive, we give it to them, do this action.
So the difference here is that persuasive is part of motivation. When I want to motivate you, Rabia, and I said, Rabia, you must join the Toastmaster Club. You have to be there. What happens is that I am pushing for an immediate action. But I cannot persuade you to be like Danajaya and win the World Championship of Public Speaking. I can inspire you. What happened is persuasive, you are asking for an immediate action. Inspiring, you are asking for a dream. Believe that this could happen. And the biggest mistake some people do is that they conclude at the persuasive note, and during the speech, they share inspiring notes, makes the audience and the judges feel the speech is not well structured. But if you leave the audience with a keynote message towards the end that is promising a better future, promising a better life if you apply your action plan, then the surprise will be that you are going to leave them with everlasting impact and not with an intimidated message toward the conclusion, which is persuasive. So don't try to be persuasive toward the end, become inspiring. Quick techniques, keep it in your mind. When you are moving between points, avoid saying, I will tell you, or let me tell you, or now let's talk about. Avoid, I will start with this, then I will ask you questions, then I will elaborate. Let me do this, then I will do that. Don't avoid all these traditional logical transition points. Just go like a flow, non-stop river with your speech. Simply move smoothly from a point to another. Few tips when you are writing a story: create relevant background to get everyone in the picture. Never assume that someone already know that as you all know, I'm not yet married. Yeah. No, because some of you don't know. So I have to say, I am here after 42 years of life, successfully single. So what happened here? I created that background commonly. Now all of you know, even those who know that I'm not married yet, have seen it now in a different angle, so it feels differently. Describe the characters, how we show that picture. Describe them vividly. Elaborate, showing hidden messages that audience cannot see, but your imagination can see. Because the magic in any story, in its details, how people felt, how it made them act, how crucial it was to say so, and all these details makes the magic. Showing them versus telling them. And finally, avoid at any cost the language of the past. Do not say the language of the past like this. I drove my car to the petrol station. I got out of it and I called my friend. That is the language of the past. My wife walked in, she looked at me, I looked at her. That's all language of the past. Instead, speak like the event is happening now. With an eyes of a tiger on his bride, there was my wife looking at me, ing. It's happening now. It's action. Now I trusted my son to drive, but you don't want to be next to my son when he drives. Not when he drove, when he drives. The car will be swinging between the lanes. You wouldn't even know where are you until you even reach there. Even policemen could not catch him. So what happened here? You are stating the language of the presence. You are putting the story. You are bringing the story from the past alive here for audience to enjoy. These are my tips for you to do a story which can be injected into the body. However, I'm going to stop here because I have already reached the level of questions. Most important part in my conclusion here is this part. Whatever you do, fellow Toastmasters and guests, whatever you do, whenever you are writing your speech, you must write 150 words only, repetitively, until you master the crafting of a short mini speech. The minute you end up wanting to cover 700 words, then things are going out of control. You must master 150 words of one point only, and another point, and another point, slowly, slowly. Find the humor in this 150 words. Find the rule of three and create a turning point or a turning direction. Create a exaggeration part. Build that exaggeration of a character in that part. Because humorous is just about setup and turning point or unexpected turn. Second, exaggeration of existing events. So if you can write that in 150 words and then share it with mentor to improve it, and then you craft again the same 150 words in a better way, and then you make it opening body conclusion in that one point only, you are going to develop the talent of writing amazing winning speeches. And to give you a final tip, in order for you to become a master in crafting speeches, every time you attend a meeting, a Toastmaster meeting, play, even for yourself, play the role of evaluating the table topic speakers. No one will tell you this. This is from life experience. Every time you attend the Toastmaster Club meeting and table topic starts, act like an evaluator to evaluate all the speakers. How could they have opened using better personal story? How could they open using personal philosophy? How could they have opened using a metaphor? And how could they have concluded using the same words? By doing that, you are going to improve your 150 mini speech writing. I wish you not to win trophies, but I wish you to win your character and the stage as a speaker. I wish you to win your voice that meant to be heard. I wish you to find the right words that states your statements and make it effective. And I wish you to apply the tips over and over again until you master the art of speaking. And then hopefully you crown as a champion wherever you are. Thank you very much for being patient, audience. God bless you all. Floor is open for questions.
I'll say thank you so much, Toastmaster Sami. It was really, I had many new points today. After your speech, I come to a conclusion and I want you to tell me if it's the right or if I've misinterpreted. You are saying that a normal speech, a normal international speech or 5 to 7 minute speech can be changed into a humorous speech if we just exaggerate the points. We can have the same inspiration story, we can have the same sad story or anything, and it can be turned into a humorous if we just exaggerate the events or the points. Is that
absolutely true? Absolutely, yes. Because when you are doing humorous speech, you need to have a message towards the end. So you exaggerate anything you want to exaggerate, but towards the end, you're going to close with inspiration notes.
Yes, that is one point that is made clear today, because I thought humorous was all about funny and laughing, but now I get the point. Thank you.
God bless you, Adnan.
Toastmaster Sami, I have question regarding humorous speech.
Go
Humorous speech, we always trying to make some humors, create the humors, but we are not thinking about the inspire or takeaway message. So what do you think, that there must be takeaway message, or you make like humor throughout the speech? Also in conclusions, you must have, you can end the
First,
speech.
let me ask you, Muhammad. Let me ask
Yes.
you a question. What
Yes.
is humorous in your opinion?
In my opinion, to make the story that will be funny and create some laugh.
No, again, this is against what I was talking now.
Okay.
If you make a story, make it funny, it's not humorous. Let's make it, guys, let's make this very clear. Funny belongs to talking, not speaking.
Okay.
Remember, talking is casual. You know, this guy is so funny when he speaks, you know, he step up like this and he move like this. That's why stand-up comedian is talking stage, not speaking stage. When someone says like this, hey guys, what's up? Hey, you're looking so, oh, you've eaten 2 chickens today. That's talking style. There's no harm, there's no right or wrong in it. So I was looking downstairs the other day, and I saw someone, and that's where I found my wallet, you know, and then you are laughing. That's talking style. If you are speaking, it's not about funny. It's about exaggerating in the sequence of the events.
Okay.
Like, you can always exaggerate. Like, for example, if you are driving your car, the Ford is so safe now, the Ford car is so safe that the brake system, okay, will stop the car no matter what the speed is. Is there any exaggeration here?
No.
No exaggeration, right?
Yes.
But the Ford is so safe that the car will stop by the time you think to stop it. When you think you want to stop the car, the brake system will apply. That's exaggerated. Now you feel like, okay, okay, that's what he's trying to say. So what happened here? I exaggerated the safety of the Ford. The Ford is the safest car on planet Earth. If you are about to hit accident, there is a feature that will get you out of the car during the crash and put you back safely, unhurted. And you go like, what? How? Because I'm exaggerating a safety feature in the Ford that can get you out of the car, crash the car, and put you back safely, unhurted. But be careful, you might die when the airbag blow in your face after they put you back.
Yeah.
Now I created a turning point. You were not expecting me to say that. That was the closing statement.
Climax.
So what happened here? I'm structuring my statements in a particular direction. It's not funny because I said the Ford car is so safe and you are going in the flow. I'm not saying it's a one structured direction, and I created a different turn. So the difference here is that funny statement, funny stories, funny events are called talking. Here we're talking speaking, and you need to build setup and have a punchline. Another setup, punchline, then another punchline, maybe another setup and 2 punchline, no problem. You have a main statement, support statement, and a closing statement. The closing statement can always be a punchline or a second punchline, doesn't matter.
Thank you for clarification.
You're welcome. Any further questions?
Can sarcasm be used?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Self-sarcasm only. I know Aram doesn't agree, and she wants to go after her husband and mother-in-laws and kitchen and kids. That's fine. But I would say sarcasm about yourself is fair and approved, because sarcasm about anyone else, like, you want to attract the audience and you want the judges to give you marks, right? And if you are criticizing a mother-in-law in your speech, and there is a mother-in-law who's a judge, and you happen to remind her of her son-in-law, Come on. Or her daughter-in-law. What marks you expect to get? All right. You are making fun about your wife cook. And there she is, a judge who was criticized by her husband this morning on how she did not even make the dosa correctly. And she's coming in the afternoon to judge you, and you are making fun out of your wife, and she's like seeing your husband, she's seeing her husband on the stage. How do you think she will mark you? So you have to be intelligent enough to speak to the judges. For example, if you have judges and you look like the aiming for excellence kid they should have, they would see you as the kid that they didn't have, for example, they will be inspired. If they saw you as the husband they wish they had, then they will be inspired. So you want to reflect the character that relate to the judges, not threaten, not intimidate them, not make them feel like reminded of bad things. You don't want to remind them of bad things. And if you criticize people how they cook, you criticize people how they act, you criticize how ladies are acting as wives or how husbands are acting with their wives. Again, you have judges over there. Okay, maybe it's funny, maybe it's original, but you have judges who may not like it. And guess what? They will not tell you they don't like it. You will just wonder why I scored 3. I made the greatest laughter.
They will show you that they don't like.
Sorry, say again.
I mean, the judges, you are saying they will not tell you, but they will show you that they didn't
exactly.
like.
Some ballots speaks thousands of words, as is.
Okay, can I ask a question? This is Ahmed.
Too late, Amr. You should have asked before.
Okay, right. So I'm just asking. Yeah,
exactly. That's the one.
Yeah. Are there any tips of combining the sorrow events or something of the tragedy event and the humorous tips? Can we join the two different events altogether, like the humorous and the sorrow?
You can, but not in the same point.
Yeah. Okay.
For example, in the same speech, but not the same point. For example, right. Qahtani, his first topic was his son drawing on the wall. It was very funny. His second point was climate change, medium funny. But his last point, his friend who died, it was very serious. There was no laughter whatsoever, but he made us cry.
Yeah.
So what he did, he touched emotions, but he made us cry. If he made fun out of that, we would have been like, what kind of a person he makes fun out of his dead friend, you know? He would lose the audience instantly.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, before Aram asked me for my closing statements, I want the timer to count another 45 minutes for my closing remarks.
Okay.
What I want to close with is, guys, don't be after a new trophy, but every day be after a new you. Your voice is a process, is designed over your life. Talha said, practice your voice before a speech. I would say practice your speech improvement every single day, because your voice will only come over time to reflect your beliefs, your system, your growth. So it's a process of continuous improvement. Every day aim to be a new you, and the best technique to master any skill is to teach it. Turn yourself to unconditional mentors, because you live the spirit of Toastmasters and simultaneously you improve your skills. So no matter what contest you attend, what practice session you attend, what meeting you attend, always put yourself in the mentorship mindset, not role player who today I don't have a role, today I'm only the timer. No, you are always the mentor to come or the mentor to be. That's your mission, and that's what you shall become.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sami Harbawi. That's a big round of applause for you. Thank you for inspiring us. And to be honest, I have heard Toastmaster Sami doing a couple of education sessions before, but he is going far ahead in every next session that he does. So today I have seen a part of him that I didn't see before, and he has done on international speeches before. And this is amazing today. So he has
Thank
come.
you so
So he
much.
is actually a coach, you know, a typical motivational coach. And this is a hint to all of you: speak in your organizations about him, get a session done, because it's worth it. So what you saw today is so much worth it if it is done more professionally. So thank you so
God
much.
bless you, Aram.
And thank you. And now we would go towards closing. And for this, I would very quickly give a thank you by sharing our screen. So everybody, please use your emojis to say thank you to our dear trainers. And it is, the first one is, of course, DTM. The first one was Toastmaster DTM Ankit, but okay. DTM Talha bin Hamid.
It's okay, no problem.
For table topics contest. Life is goofs, and every goof becomes a humorous speech. And then next is Toastmaster Sami Al Harbawi. Soon, and he's already a DTM. He's dynamic. Like one of my Pakistan's Toastmaster is amazing. I'm so surprised he's not a DTM, and we call him DDDD because they're so dedicated and dynamic. So thank you so much for your effort today. And DTM Ankit Mehra, so nice of him to come on the very first slot. And everyone has come out from a busy day. It was very busy day at District 105 with 2 big events today. And still we managed to get the best trainers. So thank you so much. And then, of course, there is a big thanks to the lady who was very inspired by woodcutters and carpenters and stone cutters today. So that's for her, who was organizing the event. And of course, I had my backbone today who was supporting big time, DTM Muhammad Rahim. He was the sergeant at arms. He was the timer. He was my reminder. He was telling me that stop taking care of your baby, come back running and all that. So this all things were happening. So thank you so much. And here I would like to personally say thank you to everybody who attended. This was a big thing. You attending marks up a respect for the trainers itself and the organizers. At one time, we reached 21, 22 people, which was good enough for a Friday. And we were asked personally by many people from District 105 to record because of their commitments. So thank you so much. And is there anybody who wants to give a comment? Share anything? DTM Talha?
Just I want to thank all trainers, especially Sami. I know that he was busy from morning. He has some client, and then he has also busy schedule on Friday. But he say yes, he will be there and he will conduct both session. Thank you very much.
That's why he's in such an ultra formal today, with all the new cut and everything.
Yes. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sami.
Otherwise, I will come from with a swimwear, you know.
Yes. You would have worn something like that to make a point of international humorous speech. So I'm thinking he's so ultra sharp today. Thank you so much. Thank you, DTM Rahim. Anything from DTM Talha? It's actually prayers time here, so he might be there. I do have my our area director, Toastmaster Medat. You're here.
It's cooking time for Medat now.
It's cooking. I know they all have it side to next to them on low audio.
No,
so
because the debate contest is going on the other side, and there must
so they
be
want
judges.
To hear the results over there. So anybody wants to add anything, Toastmaster Rabia?
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me to this amazing session. And as the contest season is coming up, it was really, really helpful because for me, I'm a new Toastmaster, so this was amazing. Thank you so much to all the
mentors. We are not aiming for trophies. We are going to aim for the best version of ourselves in this contest. So we could say that we are better speakers this year than last year. So you're going to see me in District 105 this year because I'm area director in TC 122. So inshallah. Thank you very much. And